All right, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome. We're going to get started here. So welcome, everyone. This is the Transportation Working Group, so an unofficial meeting of the Transportation Conference Committee. And we are meeting on Friday, the 6th of June, 2025. The time is about 4 minutes after 2 o'clock. We are in room 1150 of the Minnesota Senate building. Don't need to declare quorum because we don't have the ability to take any official action today, but a quorum is present if you're interested. And our purpose today, our task is to receive a walkthrough of both the policy and finance elements of the transportation budget agreement. We'll ask nonpartisan staff to do that, and then we'll open it up for public testimony. And we have a list, it should be in your hands, of those who have signed up to testify ahead of time. We're looking for 2 minutes from everyone. I say 2 minutes, we'll give a little leeway, but not a lot, and then we'll open it up for conversation. Chairs, would you like to, any opening statements, Mr. Chair?
Thank you to Senator Dibble. Thank you, Chair Cagle. I'd just like to appreciate that people are here late on a Friday. It's practically happy hour, but I don't see any cocktails. Double check over there. I appreciate that we're finally having public testimony. There was a request to do it previously, but without language and without having public testimony, just walking through the bill. I did not think that was as transparent as we needed to be. I do apologize. I don't know why the language apparently wasn't posted even today. It was up for a little bit yesterday, and it's just preliminary language. So I just apologize to the public that we didn't. I'm not sure what the hang-up is why we can't put up, preliminary language. But I have some suspicions and some reasons, ideas why, maybe why. But I think it's poor public process. So I want to apologize to those that only had access to the language for just a little while. Apparently, I don't even know if it was 10 minutes or 15 minutes, and then it was taken down yesterday. And I'm not sure why it wasn't reposted today, but not a good excuse that this is, kind of the way the legislature works. That's a simple thing that we can do a lot better. So I appreciate that we're having public testimony. I think throughout the whole process, we could have been more transparent, and I think that's a theme that we'll hear. But thank you, Chair Dibble and Chair Cagle, for getting us to this point and working together as much as we could. The bill got pulled from our negotiating, and the actual negotiators in the work group were not the three of us, but we were somewhat involved, in some cases more than others. So that's where we're at, and I will proceed, and thanks for the time, and we'll continue to talk even throughout the weekend before Monday.
Great. Thank you so much, Chair Kosnick. And members, before it slips my mind, I'll mention that there's a number of letters and written response and testimony in your packet to the public. Those are posted at the committee website. And, if anything further comes in, we'll be sure to distribute that as well and post those items as well. So thank you. Okay, so with that, I will turn to our professional nonpartisan staff. I'm guessing you've figured out how to divvy up the presentation, so I'll toss it over to you to tell me how this will go at this point. Ms. Boyd.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Lee and I will be splitting up a hopefully brief spreadsheet walkthrough to begin with. So hopefully everyone has the spreadsheet. It should be dated 6/3/25 at 2:27 p.m., the main spreadsheet. Excuse me, and I'm just going to focus on change items in the last columns labeled agreement. Overall, under the Department of Transportation, there were operating adjustments sprinkled throughout the agency from the Trunk Highway Fund and the General Fund. Those were at the governor's requested levels, so I won't be touching on those individually, but can answer questions if there are any. So on lines 13 and 14 are some named projects under airport development. Line 13 is $150,000 from the State Airports Fund for an automated weather station at McGregor Airport, and line 14 is $10 million one time for Duluth Airport Tower. On line 23 is an appropriation increase for aviation support and services at the department of 2.1 million in each, or 2.1 million in the first biennium, 2.2 thereafter from the State Airports Fund. I think I forgot to focus on that on line 12 too. There's an appropriation increase under airport development as well of 7.3 million each biennium. And then down on line 30, there's an appropriation increase from State Airports Fund for the Civil Air Patrol of 200,000 each biennium. Under transit and active transportation, there's an appropriation extension on line 36 for Southeast Minnesota Transportation Management Organization development, canceling a remaining 45,000 of a prior appropriation and reappropriating it in fiscal year 26. That's in the general fund. Line 37 is a general fund reduction for Greater Minnesota Transit of 11 million each year in the first biennium and base funding thereafter. Line 38 shows a statutory effect of reducing a transfer from the general fund to the active transportation account, a reduction of 5.5 million each year in the first biennium, and a so-called base transfer each year thereafter of 8.2 million as in current law. Excuse me. On page 2, under passenger rail, on line 49 is a cancellation of a remaining amount of an appropriation from fiscal year 23 for State Cloud Transit Service Analysis. 3.13 million is canceled back to the general fund and shows up as a revenue line in fiscal year 26 further down in the spreadsheet. Lines 50 and 51 are an extension of an appropriation for Amtrak Chicago service made in fiscal year 22. This is a $10 million extension of that appropriation to fiscal year 28. Lines 52 and 53 is an extension of an appropriation for federal matching for Amtrak service of 1.833 million extended to fiscal year 28. On line 56 shows the effects of a delay in the transfer from the general fund of railroad property tax amounts to the passenger rail account, and that will be 16.36 million less of a transfer out of the general fund in 28 and 29, and that transfer will now start in fiscal year 30. On line 63 is a reduction under freight and rail safety for a way station, the way station appropriation of 100,000 each year from the 1 million a year base, so 200,000 each biennium from the general fund reduction. Line 72, moving down to MnDOT State Road, 72 is an appropriation increase from the Trunk Highway Fund for operations and maintenance, 5 million each year in the first biennium and 10 million each year thereafter to base funding. Line 73 and 74 is an appropriation extension for the Highways for Habitat program. That was a fiscal year 24 appropriation. 600,000 of that is now extended to the end of fiscal year 27 from the general fund. Let's see. Under planning and research, line 82 is a governor's recommendation, 3 million a year additional from the Trunk Highway Fund for statewide corridor planning, and that's 3 million a year ongoing. Line 83 is a base increase to Metropolitan Planning Organization grants of 34,000 each year from the from the Trunk Highway Fund. Line 84 is a one-time appropriation from the Trunk Highway Fund for autonomous mowers research and equipment of 150,000. Lines 85 and 86 is a general fund appropriation extension from fiscal year 22 to the end of fiscal year 26 for I-94 land bridge planning. That's 500,000 left of that appropriation. Moving on to page 3, under program delivery, there are 2 appropriation extensions on lines 96 through 99. 1.193 million from the Trunk Highway Fund related to the land transfer on the Upper Sioux Agency State Park. I believe I said that right. And lines 98 and 99 is an extension of approximately, or about 600,000 from the Trunk Highway Fund for grants to MPOs related to GHG modeling, greenhouse gas modeling. Let's see, moving down to state road construction, line 107 is a recognition of federal funds incoming to the Trunk Highway Fund, and that's spending authority for those funds of 454 million in the first biennium and about 129 million in the second biennium from the Trunk Highway. Line 108 is an appropriation increase for state road construction from the balance of the Trunk Highway Fund. So this would be 9 million a year each of the first 2 years and 60 million a year thereafter from the Trunk Highway Fund. Line 109 is a recognition of federal funds related to the Blotnick Bridge project of 650 million one time. And line 110 is 66.5 million in the first biennium from the Trunk Highway Fund for priority trunk highway projects. Let's see. And then I think the next change item is on page 4. Under local roads, let's see, on lines 145 and 152, under county state aid and municipal state aid, this is just a reflection of an increase in the statutory appropriation to state aids related to the pass-through from the Highway User Tax Distribution Fund. There are a number of changes, revenue changes to that fund in the bill, and this shows the increase or decrease to that appropriation for state aid funds. On line 146 is again, a revenue change related specifically to changes in the retail delivery fee and exemptions there. And that's part of the money that would flow into the county state aid fund and the town road account, which is included in that fund. So that's a reduction every year of about $76,000 related to those changes. Let's see, and moving down to other local roads, on line 159, there's one-time appropriations of $1 million from the general fund in the first biennium for cities of the first class for traffic calming infrastructure improvements. On line 161 is a transfer of $250,000 one time. That's a transfer from the general fund to the new local government road funding gap assistance account to serve local governments with roads that, on road systems that have little or no additional dedicated funding. Lines 162, 163, and 164 are again related to revenue changes in the retail delivery fee, exemptions for larger cities, small cities, and metro counties. And you'll see those amounts in the 26 and 27 and 28, 29 columns. 165 shows an amount for a reallocation of the regional transportation sales tax, the metro sales tax for transportation. This is a shift of 8.5% of the total from the Metro County share to the Metropolitan Council for bus rapid transit capital infrastructure, and that would be a change of $93 million to the counties in the first biennium and about $99 to $100 million in the second biennium. On line 172 is a reduction or a cancellation of $3 million of the existing fiscal year 24 appropriation for the National Electric Vehicle Infrastructure Program. That was a federal match. $3 million remaining of that is canceled back to the general fund. The rest are operating adjustments. On page 5, under building services, there's line 184 is an ongoing increase of $2 million a year from the Trunk Highway Fund for facilities modernization, mainly for truck stations. And then moving on to Metropolitan Council, there's one change item on line 201. This is an appropriation reduction for transit systems operations. This is from the general fund. That's a reduction of $61.4 million in the first biennium and $24.9 million approximately each biennium thereafter. And that's the last change item until we get Department of Public Safety, and I'm going to shift over to Mr. Lee.
Mr. Chair and members, so starting on page 5 of the Department of Public Safety, the first two change items are operating adjustments, and then the first non-operating adjustment changes on line 220, and that is a reduction to the public safety support appropriation related to agency strategy and analytics, which was a appropriation increase in the last biennium. So that's a negative $1.12 million a biennium. Then for starting on page 6, there's two operating adjustments, and then operating adjustments for state patrol, and then a non-operating adjustment on line 244 that is state patrol recruitment, retention, and hiring initiatives with $2,990,000 in increase in from the Trunk Highway Fund in 26-27, and a base increase set to $20,730,000 in the tails. Then the next non-operating adjustment change is under driver and vehicle services, and you can see there are two of them on line 268 and 269. The first is for rulemaking authority for ignition interlock program at $317,000 one time, and this is from the driver and vehicle services special revenue fund account. And then another one from the same account for work zone safety curriculum changes on line 269. Then moving to page 7, under vehicle services, there is the operating adjustment and then a $2.5 million a year appropriation for no fee transaction reimbursements to deputies on line 279. And then a statutory appropriation related to a policy change for rental motor vehicle plates that you can see on line 281. Then for traffic safety, there is a operating adjustment and then a change item for increases for federal match, and that's on line 292. And then 2 reductions on line 293 and 294. The first is $1.8 million over the biennium for Advisory Council on Traffic Safety, and the second is $6 million over the biennium for drug recognition evaluator training appropriation. So that is a reduction from base. And then there's a cancellation on line 299 from the previous biennium of $3.25 million from the general fund for the Traffic Safety Advisory Council. Then moving on to a few other agencies on the bottom, lines 319, the Board of Water and Soil Resources, $3 million one time from the general fund for local road wetland replacement. And then on line 322, there's an appropriation of the Department of Administration from the Trunk Highway Fund for State Patrol Metro Headquarters Building. In earlier versions of this spreadsheet, this was shown in the DPS section, but this would be a grant to the, or an appropriation to the Department of Administration for building the building, so it's shown there. Then under Department of Employment and Economic Development, there's a one-time appropriation of $250,000 from the general fund for construction mitigation on Arcade Street in St. Paul. Then moving to page 8, University of Minnesota, there is a one-time appropriation of $4 million over the biennium, $2 million a year, on line 328 for empowering small communities. And then on line 331 of the Department of Revenue, this is showing a tax interaction as a result of regional transit borrowing that is authorized in the bill. And so this is displaying that. Then the next few changes are on transfers, which Ms. Boyd mentioned earlier. On line 371, this is a reduction of the active transportation transfer from the general fund. So you can see the base amount of that transfer is on line 367, and the proposed reduction is on line 371 of $11 million for the first biennium. And then, as Ms. Boyd mentioned earlier, on line 372 is the delay in the railroad property tax transfer in FY 28 and 29. Then there's also the $250,000 local government road funding assistance gap that was shown earlier on the spreadsheet, but this is the general fund transfer shown here. Then moving on to page 9, this is revenue items. So you can see the first two on line 382 and 383 are recognition of federal dollars to the Trunk Highway Fund for road projects and for the Blotnick Bridge. And then you can see the, this is sort of the accounting of the reductions of some of the transfers. So lines 384 is the active transportation, and 385 is the delay in passenger rail account from the railroad property taxes. Then the cancellation of the St. Cloud Transit Service Analysis on line 387, the cancellation of the $45,000 for Southeast TMO on line 388, on line 390, the cancellation of the National Electric Vehicle IIJA match amount, and then on lines 390 through 391 shows the proposed changes to the auto parts allocation, which is decreasing the amount to the Highway User Tax Distribution Fund and retaining a larger amount in the general fund. So that's the math there. Then on line 392 is a proposed increase in electric vehicle surcharges, which would be to the HUTD, which is about $23 million in the first biennium and $53 in the 26-27 biennium. And then an additional charge related to kilowatt hour tax on public EV charging, and that's on line 394, and that starts in 2028. Then you can see on line 395 the local road gap funding. This is the accounting from those lines earlier. And then lines 398 through 403 are changes related to retail delivery fee exemptions. Line 404 is the mentioned earlier regional transportation sales tax change from the counties to the Metropolitan Council, and you can see that same math on line 407. Then under the revenue items for the Department of Public Safety, line 413 is the commercial learner's permit extension that's lost to the Special Revenue Fund. Line 416 is the no-show exam fees. Line 419 is change related to motor vehicle rental plates. And then line 421 through 423 are changes related to the motor vehicle dealer plate modifications. Line 424 is the cancellation of the Advisory Council on Traffic Safety. And then line 427 and 428 are the tax interactions related to the regional, the metro area regional borrowing authorization. And then on the last page, you can see the net impact on HUTD and the various funds that money goes to on lines 431 through 434. See the net revenue impact on lines 436 through 444. And then you can see a summary of the general fund changes on line 448 through 460. And so the net change from base is on line 460, and it is a reduction from base general fund of $515 million in the 26-27 biennium, and $333 million from in the 28-29 biennium from the general fund. And that's the spreadsheet.
Thank you, Mr. Lee. All right. Mr. Greenfield? Oh, Mr. Burris. All right.
Mr. Chair and members, Mr. Greenfield and I will be walking through the language that reflects the agreement. This is found in a revisor bill draft document. The ID number in the upper right is 25-05709. I'll also note that the date timestamp for this is 6/6/25, 9:13 a.m. That's the updated version of the language. So Article 1 contains the appropriations as well as transfers and budget establishment provisions. So this is what the spreadsheet reflects as found in these sections. Sections 1 through 4 establish the budget for Department of Transportation as well as funding for the Metropolitan Council and administrative and transportation-related functions in the Department of Public Safety. Again, the spreadsheet reflects the various appropriations and a number of the change items, so I won't go through those in detail, but as with any aspects of this, if there are questions, we can always return to greater detail at a later point. Sections 5 and 6 and 7 also establish appropriations for a couple of agencies that were mentioned in the spreadsheet walkthrough, and those are outside of the typical transportation budget setting. So Section 5 is the appropriation of the Board of Water and Soil Resources. Section 6 contains the Department of Administration appropriation for the headquarters project for the State Patrol. And then Section 7 contains the appropriation to the Department of Employment and Economic Development. Following that, Section 8 contains a University of Minnesota appropriation for a program for assisting or empowering small communities. The statutory language is found a little bit later in the bill. And then the cancellations that were also mentioned in various parts of the walkthrough is found in Section 9 of the bill draft language. That's on page 23. Following that, there are a series of sections that establish the extension of various prior year appropriations. That's found in sections 10 through 14 of the language. And then in section 15 on page 38, there is a modification to a 2023 appropriation that extends the project limits for a Trunk Highway 5 project for which an appropriation had been made. Section 16 also contains an extension of availability of bond proceeds from a 2023 appropriation for U.S. Highway 8. And then Section 17 also contains a couple of extensions as well as a modification to available uses of funds related to landscaping improvements. This was part of 2024 appropriation legislation. Moving then to page 42 of the bill draft, Section 18 contains the transfers that were also mentioned in the spreadsheet walkthrough, and that includes setting an active transportation forecasting provision for future transfers. And then there are a couple of sections following that direct allocation of some funds coming out of the regional transportation sales tax. The first of these is in Section 19, and this redirects a portion of dollars that would otherwise go to Anoka County from one stream of the regional sales tax and would be directed to the Rum River pedestrian bridge for both the bridge work and the pedestrian bridge aspects. And then Section 20 contains similar reallocations. This is for the Washington Avenue pedestrian bridge, and there's a split in the dollars used to fund the pedestrian bridge project, so that $2 million is allocated to the University of Minnesota from the Metropolitan Council, and this is coming from a portion that under current law is directed to active transportation purposes from the regional sales tax. And then $6 million is allocated also to the University of Minnesota, and this comes from the portion going to the Hennepin County. The other allocation is found in Section 21. This is on page 44 of the bill draft, and this is a reallocation of Metropolitan Council dollars to be provided as grants to various transportation management organizations that are specified. The grants are in equal amounts to the 4 identified TMOs. Moving then to Article 2, this contains a variety of transportation, finance, and policy provisions. The first of those is found in sections 1 through 3, which relate to the Advisory Council on Traffic Safety. It broadens the duties and allows for grant making by the Department of Public Safety on behalf of the council and sets out some of the requirements related to that. Section 4 on page 46 contains a technical change that provides a data practices cross-reference that's for a provision on headgear use or wearing of headgear for driver's license photographs and ID photographs. So the substantive language of that is found a little bit later in the bill draft. Section 5 establishes a limit on the account balance reserve for an account used for Greater Minnesota Transit. Section 6 establishes the Empowering Small Communities or Small Minnesota Communities program that was mentioned earlier, lays out the various program requirements. Section 7 makes a modification to the Quarters of Commerce program administered by MnDOT. This eliminates a look-back element in the calculation of the regional allocation of dollars for project awards. And I'll just note that there's a later provision that's uncodified that relates to this change as well. Section 8 provides for a statutory description in the trunk highway system as part of a turnback of jurisdiction on a trunk highway route. Section 9 establishes a memorial highway, the Officer Jason B. Meyer Memorial Highway. There are a couple other memorials following that. Section 10 establishes a Heroes Memorial Bridge, and then Section 11 establishes the Sergeant Joshua A. Schmidt Memorial Highway. Moving then to page 50 in the bill draft, Section 12 relates to a program that sets out requirements for greenhouse gas assessment and mitigation. The change in this section is to broaden the types of offsets that can be used as part of the mitigation process to provide some additional specificity and components related to, or activities related to natural systems, as well as certain types of land acquisition that involve the outdoor recreation system, as well as regional parks. Section 13 establishes a local government road funding gap assistance account and provides for allocation of dollars in the account. This was mentioned earlier. There's a transfer of one-time dollars into the account, so this provides the statutory direction on use of the dollars. Section 14 provides for a dealer who is in a neighboring state to be treated as a Minnesota licensed dealer for some types of motor vehicle related activities. Section 15 is the first of a couple of sections that follow it that relate to the electric vehicle surcharge changes being proposed in the bill draft. Section 15 eliminates a hold harmless provision that's currently in place for both motor vehicle registration and the current electric vehicle surcharge, so that the hold harmless would only apply to the registration tax and not to EV surcharges. And then sections 16 and 17 lay out an adjustment to the calculation of the electric vehicle surcharge. Both sections 16 and 17 identify a rate that then declines and is based on the same devaluation schedule that's in place for the registration tax, and set a minimum amount following that devaluation schedule. Section 16 relates to fully electric vehicles, and then section 17 is the sort of equivalent that's for plug-in hybrid electric vehicles. Following that, section 18 provides for a change in the length of time that a temporary permit can be issued for a vehicle to be moved out of state. And then section 19 on page 56 of the bill draft establishes a new type of special plate for rental motor vehicles and sets out the requirements around issuance of the plate and transfer, as well as eligibility to obtain the plate.
Mr. Chair and members of the working group, I'll be starting on section 20 of the working document 25-05709. On page 57, section 20 establishes that independent contractors are not exempt from certain requirements for holding a dealer license for the types of business activity they may do. Section 21 makes a technical change makes technical changes regarding dealer licenses, and also provides that and expands qualification requirements to obtain a dealer licenses, to expand background check requirements. And then on page 59, this classifies the data as criminal history data, lines 23 and 24. Section 22 establishes limits on the issuance and use of motor vehicle dealer plates, including limiting the total issuance to a dealer of no more than 50. Then there is language that also authorizes the use of a dealer plate for courtesy purposes by non-employees, and specifies the use of a dealer place, the accompanying documentation that must be carried when a vehicle is using a dealer plate. And that begins on page 61, lines 1 to 5. Section 23 makes an additional technical change regarding the upwards limit of 50 dealer plates for trailers, motorized bicycles, and other forms of plates that may be applied to vehicles. Section 24 authorizes certain types of reimbursement for deputy registrars for certain transactions by which they do not collect a filing fee. Section 25 makes a technical change related to the extension of an out-of-state temporary permit. This change is brought forth on page 64. Section 26 makes a change, authorizes a process for the issuance of title on a motor vehicle that is acquired by an insurer through an insurance payment when the title was not provided to an insurer following a claim, and this is effective September 1, 2025. Section 27 modifies requirements on the disposition of a motor vehicle in the possession of a salvage vehicle auction company on behalf of an insurer following an insurance claim, and is effective September 1, 2025. The summary is incorrect. It says August 1. It should be September. Section 28 and Section 29 add definitions of certain materials that are later exempted in Section 30 as part of the retail delivery fee. These products that are exempted are fuel products and road construction materials under certain types of deliveries, and that is specified in terms of the exemption on page 67, lines 16 to 19. The exemption is effective the day following final enactment for retail deliveries made on or after June 30, 2025. Section 31 makes a technical change to the definition of an intersection. Section 32 adds a flashing yellow movement to the definition of a traffic control signal for the definition of what a steady yellow indication indicates, and strikes a lot of shalls and inserts a lot of musts, much to our approval. Section 33 requires a seatbelt for the operation of a Class 2 ATV when operated on the right-of-way of a public road, and when the Class 2 ATV is factory equipped with seatbelts. This section is effective July 1, 2025. Section 34 and Section 35 modify the special qualifying agricultural overweight permits to have a temporary permit in place for crude soybean oil for specified routes between Mankato and Fairmont. The routes that are authorized for that special permit are located on page 72, lines 7 to 12. Section 36 is a modification to the motorcycle operation rules known as lane splitting and lane filtering. This specifies that a person may not lane split or lane filter in certain types of road types, and those contexts are specified on page 73, lines 14 to 18, and they include the approach, drive-through, or exit of a roundabout, a designated school zone, a work zone where only a single travel lane is available, and an on-ramp to a freeway or expressway where vehicles are queued in one or more traffic lanes. And this addition to prohibited contexts for motorcycle lane splitting and lane filtering is effective July 1, 2025, the same date by which the authorization to operate the motorcycle in those fashion is also effective as part of the 2024 transportation bill. Section 37 adds the definition of a road test to the chapter of statutes governing driver's examinations and driver's education. Section 38 adds the definition of work zone to that same chapter of statute. Section 39 modifies the length of duration for a commercial driver's learning permit from 6 months to 1 year. Section 40 and 41 make a technical change to the evidence, to the documentation required to submit proof of a name change. Section 42 is similar to the previously mentioned statutory reimbursement scheme, but this time for driver's license agents rather than deputy registrars. So there are certain types of transactions by which a driver's license agent is not compensated, and this directs DVS to provide reimbursement for those types of transactions. Section 43 and 44 authorize the instruction of work zone safety as part of driver's education, and it requires its inclusion in the driver's manual. Section 45 authorizes an individual to continue to wear medically required covering or head coverage as part of their driver's license photograph. This section is effective the day following final enactment. Section 46 adds the work zone safety requirements to the tested subjects as part of a person seeking as part of a road skills test, or as part of a driver's license examination. And of note, there is finally at least a little bit more technical clarity on the required taught subjects that this nonpartisan council finds very appealing. And that change is found on page 80, lines 5 to 7, in terms of adding the work zone elements. Then section 47 adds an additional $20 fee for someone who cancels a scheduled road test between 24 hours and 72 hours before their scheduled appointment time, and raises the fee that currently exists from $20 to $40. Section 48 authorizes recurring scheduling for purposes of certain types of road tests. Section 49 makes a technical change to authorize to allow for immediate revocation of a driver's license. This adds both degrees of manslaughter that are found currently in the criminal statutes, and then makes a variety of other technical changes to strike references to the department making the revocation and inserting the commissioner, which is the appropriate statutory agent for doing so. Section 50 makes a cross-reference change regarding to the clause change just referenced above. Section 51 makes the same cross-reference change to a law that was enacted as part of the 2025 regular session. Section 52 on page 84 extends the length of expiration for a reintegration driver's license issued on or after the date of final enactment. Section 53 provides that a reintegration driver's license issued has a certain 90-day grace period by which a person can then apply for their regular driver's license, and which is not considered expired for purposes of that application. And this section is effective the day following final enactment. Section 54 makes a technical change related to the degrees of manslaughter clarification as related to an enacted 2025 regular session law, as does Section 55 on page 86. Moving on to Section 56 on page 88, this authorizes the Commissioner of Public Safety to conduct rulemaking as part of Ignition Interlock Performance Standards. Section 57 authorizes flexible instruction for purposes of driver's education, authorizing a student to take a variety of forms of driver's education. Section 58 establishes a consolidated local transportation financials report. This directs certain reporting units, which is a county, a regional railroad authority, or other political subdivision specifically required to submit financial information. And the consolidated report requires essentially the reporting unit to submit financial information on each funding source, and that required financial information begins in subdivision 3, beginning on page 89, line 14. And carrying into page 90, line 5. Section 59 exempts that consolidated transportation report from certain MnDOT reporting requirements. And then Section 60 strikes the requirement that the active transportation solicitation process be conducted annually. And from there, I'm going to pivot back to my colleague, Mr. Burris.
Thank you, Mr. Greenfield. Mr. Burris.
Mr. Chair and members, then moving to Section 61, this makes a couple of technical changes and clarifications and establishes a cross-reference to a definition of active transportation in a provision on the use of transportation advancement account funds by metropolitan counties. Section 62 relates to the consolidated transportation financials reporting that Mr. Greenfield just touched on earlier, and identifies information that counties are directed to provide in addition to the list of financial elements that was outlined previously. And this relates to details of the types of uses of funds coming out of the transportation advancement account. Then following that, Section 63 contains the delay in the general fund transfer to the passenger rail account that was mentioned in the spreadsheet walkthrough. Section 64 is the first of a series of sections that make modifications to the electric assisted bicycle rebate program. There are various eligibility and requirement changes. This includes requiring 2 years of prior tax submissions, establishing a definition for a person with a disability, and that is then used as part of the eligibility changes to be able to obtain a rebate, so that the rebate can be provided to somebody with a disability or someone who meets the revised income limitations that are also established. The provision changes found in sections 65 and 66 also modify the maximum amount of the rebate and direct the Department of Revenue to shift to a lottery basis in some circumstances for the upcoming rebate solicitation process. Following that, beginning on page 96, there are a number of sections that relate to establishment of a new tax that is imposed on electric vehicle charging stations in some circumstances. This is found in sections 67 through 78. The first of these is to establish a series of definitions in the relevant chapter. That's section 67 through 71. Following that, there are some administrative provisions around enforcement and record management by the Department of Revenue and rulemaking authority as well. That's section 72, and then there's some additional sections following this. Section 73 lays out requirements for a public charging station operator to obtain a license and sets the requirements and the licensing procedures and surrender procedures around that. Suspension of license is outlined in section 74. Cancellation and non-renewal is found in section 75. The core of the imposition of this tax is found in section 76. It sets out the rate and how it applies in subdivision 2. Some additional requirements, including exemptions, are also found in this section. The revenue from this goes to the Highway User Tax Distribution Fund. Of note, this has a delayed effective date, essentially, like when the tax first goes into effect. That begins in fiscal year 2028. That's found in subdivision 2 on page 99. Section 77 relates also to the administrative aspects of this public charging station set of provisions. This is on record keeping, and then there are some penalty-related authority found in section 78. Following that, section 79 revises the allocation of funds from the general sales tax revenue that's attributed to automotive parts, so that an additional percentage is directed for a number of years to go to the general fund instead of to the Highway User Tax Distribution Fund. And this language is found on page 102. So there are a series of percentages that decline and then increase back from as far as how much is directed to the Highway User Tax Distribution Fund. Following that, on page 105, section 80 is the first of a couple of sections that relate to the regional transportation sales tax. Section 80 sets out a definition change as a technical shift. Section 81 contains the reallocation of a portion of the sales tax dollars. This was mentioned previously in the walkthrough. You can see the new percentages laid out starting at page 105, lines 22 and on to line 26. There's also a clarification for the executive branch administration of the allocation of the dollars that's also found in this subdivision. Following that, section 82 expands the revenue bonding authority that the Metropolitan Council currently has for regional transportation sales tax dollars to include the new percentage portion, 8.5%, that's being directed to the Metropolitan Council for a busway and bus rapid transit build out. Section 83 is also, it has a couple of parts. One piece is related to the local transportation financials reporting and creates a cross-reference into the core reporting requirements and eliminates the current law report, and that's being substantially reproduced in the language that Mr. Greenfield had laid out a little bit earlier. And then The other piece of the financial reporting is also found in that section. Sections 84 and 85 relate to an assessment that is imposed on railroads and pipeline operators, and the dollars are both allocated into an account and then appropriated out for a couple of different purposes. There's a technical reallocation and shift in the appropriation location in statute, as well as the mechanics of how the dollars are moved into the grade crossing safety account. And then there's also a shift in how much of the total assessment goes to railroads versus pipeline companies. And then section 86 sets out a definition that relates to a subsequent section that provides for a coordinated unmanned aircraft event and setting registration and fees and requirements around that. So the definition is in this section, and then the substantive requirements are set out a little bit later. Sections 87 through 90 set out a set of procedures for electronic attestation on registration of some types of aircraft. And then section 91 is the coordinated unmanned aircraft system fleet registration provision. Section 92 establishes a reporting requirement. This is another piece of what was mentioned earlier. This is the requirement that's placed for, or set in place for regional railroad authority entities. Section 93 is a establishment of authority for the Metropolitan Council to engage in direct negotiation for some types of contracts. And then section 94 makes one of a couple of different changes that are found in the bill draft to Metropolitan Council reporting requirements. And this section eliminates a financial planning reporting requirement. And then section 95 also relates to the council's reporting, and this provides direction to suburban transit providers to provide some information to the council. This substantially is reproducing a requirement that's in a current statute that's being repealed later in this bill draft. On page 115, section 96 provides authority for the Metropolitan Council to use bid preferences in contracting for some types of entities, small targeted group businesses, as well as veteran-owned small businesses on the basis that is similar to what's in place for state agencies in current law. And this section also makes some further changes related to the contracting authority. Section 97 relates to a working capital fund that is allowable for the Metropolitan Council and some other area agencies in the Twin Cities metro area, and updates a federal definition cross-reference. Section 98 revises the forecasting requirements related to metro mobility forecasts to eliminate a look back in the forecast materials that the Metropolitan Council is directed to provide to the legislature. And then sections 99 through 101 relate to the authority for the Metropolitan Council to issue regional transit capital bonds. And this establishes the authority, provides for a redirection of the amount of funds from that would otherwise be a reduction or an appropriation of general fund dollars, so that the general fund is held equivalent using dollars from that would otherwise go to the Metropolitan Council through the regional transportation sales tax, and then there's a limitation on the use of the dollars.
Mr. Greenfield.
Mr. Chair and members of the Working Committee, Section 102 authorizes free fares for certified disabled riders on regular route transit with Metro Transit. Currently, they offer, as part of the free fare pilot program, a nominal 1 cent fee Previously, up until December 31, 2024, it was free, and then the pilot program expired, and now it's a nominal 1 cent fee. This authorizes it going back down to 0, free of charge, effective the day following final enactment. Section 103 makes a technical change to the cleaning standards report that is required to be submitted to the legislature on the Metropolitan Council's cleanliness standards for Metro Transit property and vehicles. Section 104 adds definitions of bus guideway and busway to the portion on the regional transportation sales and use tax and how it's directed by the Metropolitan Council. Section 105 makes a technical change to the regional sales tax allocation to the Metropolitan Council and brings in another technical change on 122 lines 14 and 15. Section 106 on page 123 authorizes a loan of 2 loans up to $250 million, totaling $250 million for 2 corridor projects. So the loan is remitted from the Metropolitan Council to the Department of Transportation for roadway improvements and trunk highway construction and reconstruction in coordination with the 2 named projects, the F-Line Bus Rapid Transit Project with marked Trunk Highway 65, known as Central Avenue, and marked Trunk Highway 47, known as University Avenue, and the Riverview Corridor, known as the West 7th Bus Rapid Transit Project, in coordination with marked Trunk Highway 5. Then paragraph B on page 123, lines 25 to 29, authorizes the loan, and paragraph C specifies the terms of repayment, which must be repaid in full by 2040 or 10 years after construction begins, whichever is later. Page 124, paragraph D, specifies how the loan funds may be used. The Council and the Department of Transportation may only use right-of-way acquisition and funds for right-of-way acquisition and construction only upon a joint submission of a project agreement to the legislative committees with jurisdiction over transportation to ensure that the construction and reconstruction plan is compatible with future transit and that it provides safe and accessible facilities for all modes of travel along the corridor. And then it also requires additional reporting requirements as part of the loan agreement to the legislature. Authorization for the loan expires on June 30, 2030. Section 107 specifies conditions for repayment of the loan, of funds from the authorized loan. Paragraph B on page 124, lines 22 to 24, specifies that a loan agreement cannot provide any financial benefit to either entity and must be mutually agreed by the Council and the Department of Transportation, and requires that within receiving payment from the Department of Transportation, the Metropolitan Council is to report that information to the legislative committees with jurisdiction over transportation. Section 108 directs the Metropolitan Council to use sales tax revenue for planning, project development, construction, and capital maintenance in conformance with the regional bus expansion implementation plan that's later specified and established in subdivision 7 of that chapter. Section 109 directs metropolitan counties to use sales tax revenue for transportation purposes, which include but are not limited to the construction, reconstruction, and maintenance of highways and projects, programs, or operation activities that meet the requirements of offset actions under the GHG mitigation impact assessment law required under Section 161-178. Section 110 on page 126 requires by January 15th of 2026 the Metropolitan Council to develop an accelerated expansion of bus guideway and busway plan in the metropolitan area and specifies the conditions of that plan, which is a comprehensive integrated network of bus guideways and busways. And this section is effective the day following final enactment. Section 111 modifies a effective date for a report that was enacted in the 2023 Transportation Omnibus related to traffic disposition analysis. Section 112 makes a technical change to the enacted 2025 regular special law relating to ignition interlock provisions. Section 113 also makes the same technical change related to the 2025 enacted law. Section 114 directs the City of Minneapolis to designate the 10th Avenue Bridge over the Mississippi River as the Minnesota Senate Majority Leader Carrie Dietzig Memorial Bridge, with an effective date contingent upon the governing body of the City of Minneapolis complying with statutory requirements for a special law. Section 115 authorizes autonomous mowers research and development with the Department of Transportation. Section 116 directs the Department of Transportation to update its cost participation policy with local units of government and submit that report to the legislative committees before the report is to be finalized, to give the legislature the ability to comment and provide additional input into the policy update if needed. Section 117 directs the Commissioner of Public Safety to conduct good cause rulemaking regarding loss of voluntary control provisions for certain people who are free of their loss of consciousness symptoms for a certain duration of time. This good cause rulemaking would authorize certain individuals to not have to resubmit physician statements if the physician indicates that no further update is needed or reoccurrence of submitting the documentation is required. Section 118 authorizes a full-service provider in the city of Circle Pines. Currently, there's a deputy registrar in that city. This would expand it to allow them to offer driver's license services. Section 119 makes a modification to the Corridors of Commerce 2023 project selection rounds to most closely achieve the regional allocation specified in statute from the remaining available funds. Section 120 requires the Metropolitan Council to provide limited shared use opportunities for a specific piece of property located in the city of Anoka. Section 121 establishes the Electricity as Vehicle Fuel Working Group. This provides a comprehensive multi-agency working group to facilitate and provide recommendations on the development and integration of electricity used as vehicle fuels. Subdivision 3 specifies the exhaustive membership. However, I've noted there is a considerable amount of agency representation from a variety of different industries, those interested in electric vehicle adoption, as well as those representing utilities and as well as various building trades. Of note, the members that are specified by that are not specified by a specific organization are appointed by the governor. Subdivision 5 specifies the duties of the working group. That begins on page 135, lines 11 to 18. The first is to provide a comprehensive analysis of electricity use as vehicle fuel infrastructure. The second is to provide a roadmap for policy and funding recommendations to essentially be consistent with the existing gas tax revenue and vehicle registration revenue that are constitutionally dedicated, and including a plan for any studied mechanism to replace the electric vehicle surcharge that is specified in statute. And the final direction of the working group is to analyze other legislation or policies that may have been used to tax and assess electric vehicle charging methods. The remaining part of the section specifies meeting requirements and administrative procedures and requires the report to be submitted to the legislature by February 13, 2026. Section 122 requires a study by the Department of Transportation on wheelchair accessible vehicles supply and availability for people who require the use of wheelchair accessible vehicles. The commissioner is required to engage in various stakeholder consultation as part of conducting the report, and has a variety of study objectives and strategies that they must explore in conducting the study. Page 139, section 123 requires the Metropolitan Council to conduct a study and analysis of high subsidy regular route transit service. This study must be completed by March 1, 2026. Section 124 on page 140 requires a study by February 1, 2026. That requires a third-party entity forecasting analysis on metro mobility forecasting practices in consultation with the Metropolitan Council. So the Metropolitan MnDOT will work with a third-party entity to perform the analysis of Metropolitan Council's forecast practices for metro mobility. That's a lot of nouns to describe what is happening. Section 125 is a study that requires alternate mode analysis in the Blue Line extension corridor, and this report must be submitted to the legislature by June 15th, 2026. And Section 126 repeals a statutory reporting requirement related to replacement service providers that's picked up in an earlier section of Article 2. That concludes the revisor document, Article 2 walkthrough.
Thank you, Mr. Greenfield. We'll pause here for just a moment in case there's any small questions of clarification. We'll come back to the bill for more discussion after testimony. Anything? All right. Thank you. So we'll move to testimony now. And members, before I forget, members, I'm going to mention that Senator Johnson Stewart is joining us remotely from Minnetonka, Minnesota, and Representative Olson is joining us remotely from Fairmont, Minnesota. The public, I think the agenda has been handed out. We have the list of testifiers in front of us. I will call folks forward in that order, except I'll just make a couple of notations. We will add Commissioner Carla Bigham after Commissioner Lori Halverson. So you can just insert that. Michael Wojcik will be testifying remotely. Ethan Kleinbaum will not be testifying. And so we have 3 seats, and so we'll call 3 folks forward at a time. And we'll start with Commissioner Marion Green from Hennepin County, Commissioner Mai-Chong Zhang from Ramsey County, Commissioner Julie Jepson from Anoka County. And we're looking for 2 minutes, not super strict. We'll provide for some leeway, but we're looking for around 2 minutes from everyone. Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you. Is it on? Yes. Good afternoon, everybody. Chair Cagle, Chair Dibble, Chair Kosnick, and members of the working group. My name is Marion Green. I'm the Hennepin County Commissioner for District 3 and Chair of our Regional Rail Authority. Thank you for this opportunity to testify. I want to speak to the proposal to permanently cut $93 million a biennium in transportation funding from metro counties. In 2023, the Omnibus transportation bill made generational investments in Minnesota's transportation system. It provided a balanced approach to new revenue to maintain our existing system, along with a comprehensive investment in the metro area to finally build and operate an efficient transit system while modernizing our roadways to improve safety for the most vulnerable users with funding. The bill was a huge achievement to provide Minnesotans with safer and efficient options for how they travel, from increased transit access to bicycle and pedestrian improvements that will make our region safer, improve public health, and reduce vehicle miles driven. I would strongly caution you before making significant changes to the 2023 package that will impact the progress of our region to reshape our transportation system and put at risk the long-term longevity of the metro sales tax. Here's why. Today in Minnesota, 1 in every 6 roadway deaths involve people walking or biking, and we are moving in the wrong direction. MnDOT's non-motorized transportation safety trend analysis shows pedestrian and cycling deaths steadily rising to levels not seen since the turn of the century. The truth is that for decades, we have designed our roadways for the speed of motorized users, and that very design is now contributing to the rising trend in crashes and deaths for our most vulnerable users. That's why we agreed with our Metro County partners in 2023 to not only maintain our roadway system, but modernize it, with over 50% of the funding dedicated to safety improvements in active transportation and complete streets. This proposal eliminates that funding in the metro area. For Hennepin specifically, we're investing the sales tax revenue in multimodal safety improvements across the system, with 5 projects along corridors identified for BRT and many other corridors in the next 5 to 10 years. This legislation will result in a $16 million annual cut that will defer and cancel critical investments, including 3 projects that had previously been awarded a total of $23 million in federal funds. Hennepin County will continue to be a champion for our world-class multimodal transportation system for residents, partnering with the Met Council and with you to build out BRT and light rail lines and prioritizing investments to improve safety. We know we need a comprehensive solution to reduce our vehicle miles driven by giving people more options to get around. We respectfully request that bike and pedestrian improvements are not pitted against transit, and that this proposal is not included in the final transportation budget bill. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Green. Commissioner Zhang.
Thank you, Chair Dibble, Chair Cagle, and Chair Kosnick, and members of the working group. Thank you for the opportunity to speak here. I am Ramsey County Commissioner Mai-Chong Zhang, and I represent much of St. Paul's East Side. I am also the vice chair of the county's Regional Rail Authority. And also here with me today is my colleague, Commissioner Mary Jo McGuire, in the back there. The proposal to cut in half the county allocation of revenue from the Metro 3/4 cent sales tax is deeply harmful. For Ramsey County, this would mean a loss of $8 to $9 million a year that is already allocated to transit and multimodal programming for our capital improvement program projects, including greenways and pedestrian walkways. These projects include construction of the Spine Road at Rice Creek Commons, the largest redevelopment for Ramsey County and also for the region here, improvements on Rice Street, Dale Street, County Road D, County Road J, Beam Avenue, County Road C, and Maryland Avenue, which runs through my district. Multimodal investments along Ramsey County's critical corridors, including bike and trailways on our county roads, and transportation and infrastructure support for economic development projects like the park at River's Edge, which is critical to the success of our downtown, to our region, and to the state. These projects have been designed and planned with significant community engagement and buy-in. Ramsey County has programmed over $29 million for active transportation, over $28 million for roadway improvements, and $8 million for complete streets and transit. This is consistent with the legislative directed uses of these funds at 41.5%, 41.5%, and 17% respectively. All the projects you're hearing about today reflect an enormous amount of effort by counties to develop plans and projects consistent with legislation passed in 2023. Additionally, it undermines our ability to plan long-term. This sales tax was supposed to allow counties to develop long-range plans to meet the diverse priorities of our communities, and we can't develop long-term transit investment plans in partnership with community when we can't rely on a stable source of funding. Additionally, we have honest questions about how the Met Council would use these funds. The account created for the redirected transportation advancement account is labeled BRT build-out. As a current a Met Council tab board member and a member to advance transit on East Metro Strong, I have questions about how we may advance 4 to 5 BRT lines per year, and how, if there's a plan that articulates how these funds would be used for BRT build-out. We have heard that the Met Council needs these funds to fill the hole created by cuts to operations and maintenance. So in short, it's not clear when Met Council would do this what they would do with this enormous windfall. In any cases, we need community support and community buy-in. It takes time. What we have right now are plans that we have lined up already. Building out the BRT system also requires the county to carry out road improvements. This is what that is what Ramsey County is using the Metro sales tax revenue to do, exactly just that. So overall, we are concerned about the lack of transparency in developing this proposal. Thank you for giving me this time.
Thank you very much, Commissioner. All right, welcome Commissioner Julie Jepson from Anoka County.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Chair Cagle and Chair Koznick, for this really beneficial opportunity that we're here today to present in front of you. My name is Julie Jepson. I am an Anoka County Commissioner, and I represent the cities of Blaine and Spring Lake Park. Every school year, both semesters, I'm invited to speak at Blaine High School. Blaine High School seniors in their civics class to talk about local government and why these newly 18-year-olds are vital to the voting process and the process of which we're here today for. Every time I speak to them, I tell them how each of us has our own responsibilities and priorities and role within our government, from school boards to the federal government. But equally as important, as I also tell them, is that we all stay in our own lane, but we have to be collaborative. We have to have partnerships in order to get things done. What happened last week, Thursday, and the reason why we're here this afternoon is because those partnerships are in jeopardy of being destroyed. We're coming in front of you today to talk about our frustrations and overall disappointment in how very specific line items within this proposed legislation is a slap in the face to negotiations that happened 2 years ago, that took place through vetting and debates in 2023, what this says to me and my county colleagues is that you do not care about previous agreements. You're going to do whatever you want, whenever you want. The sales tax reallocation was not requested by Met Council. The reallocation is earmarked to support BRT build-out that has not been fully established, vetted, or approved, nor timeline determined. Additionally, the proposed candidate corridors, as presented to TAB during our April meeting, stay within the current geographic footprint of the already existing system, which barely crosses the boundaries of the collar counties. Finally, the reallocation, though highlighting the fact that we will be able to use the funds for whatever transportation needs we have, you go one step further to requiring Anoka County and Hennepin County to spend the first year of those dollars on specific projects, taking away much needed funding elsewhere. Interestingly enough, in the language that was just summarized, the requirement that we're supposed to pay is $6.2 million. If this gets cut in half, that's not even a year's worth of funding that we would get, just to let you know. Most concerning to Anoka County is the Rum River Dam pedestrian bridge, which was added at the last minute behind closed doors without a bill presented in legislation and without the involvement from Anoka County, yet we're being required to pay for it. Do you understand that the city has zero funding for this project? The project is estimated to cost $30 to $50 million. There is no strategy, there's no initiative, there's no decision on where those dollars are coming from, yet we're required to build a bridge. Additionally, you're requiring Hennepin County to pay for a fence along Washington Avenue Bridge, while also including $2 million from Met Council's Transportation Advisory Board Active Transportation Funds, from which you gave us, my colleague from Ramsey County and I also sit on TAB, which you gave us the decision-making authority to develop a competitive process for counties and cities to request regionally balanced projects. These two mandates destroy the agreement from 2023 while also bypassing state statute, which you also created. I want to be clear that we are not opposing the projects. Quite to the contrary. We are opposing the process. My testimony today is not only for you to understand our perspectives, but also as a warning to all local governments. If you hold tight to the sales tax reallocation, the Rum River Dam pedestrian bridge, and the Washington Avenue fence, you are setting a precedent that we should all fear because we will be at the mercy of your whims. Thank you again for giving us this opportunity to speak in front of you.
Thank you so much, Commissioner. All right, now I will call forward Jody Brennan, Commissioner Jody Brennan, Commissioner Lori Halverson, and Commissioner Carla Bigham.
Thank you very much, Chair Koznick and Chair Dibble. My name is Jody Brennan. I am the Scott County Commissioner representing the City of Shakopee and also the other communities in Scott County. And here in the room today is Representative Brad Tapke, who also represents Shakopee. While my district is in Shakopee, I come to you this afternoon with a heavy and vexed heart. The provisions of this bill to reduce agreed upon county share of the metro area transportation sales and use tax from 17% to 8.5% and to reallocate those funds to the Met Council for bus rapid transit is unfair, short-sighted, seems focused on appeasing transit and advocates, and will leave gaps in the system this committee seeks to build. The transformative transportation bill negotiated in 2023 was not the most favorable outcome for Scott County specifically, but we supported it. We supported it because it helped the Department of Transportation, it aligned transit with Met Council, and it provided a small amount of locally controlled projects that supported the legislation goals. We supported it because it was a good policy and was developed through a transparent public process and because it was good for the region. Only a year and a half later, that work is being undone. Why undo that work now? It isn't needed to balance the budget. The Met Council isn't asked for additional dollars. and there's no BRT projects in Scott County in the current Met Council plan. By reducing Scott County's allocation by at least $3 million per year, the proposed provision will likely result in the delay or elimination of the following projects. County Road 17 in Shakopee is a project that will develop additional trails to support safety as more development occurs in Prior Lake. The pedestrian underpass at County Road 78 and County Road 17 was programmed with these dollars. This was a safety project connecting people to routes to the transit station on County Road 17 on Marshall Road. All 3 transit stations in Scott County are in my Shakopee district, and these are all also maintained with these funds. Merriam Junction Trail is a regional biking and hiking trail and is the final connection of 20 miles of trails from Carver County through Louisville Township into beautiful downtown Shakopee and connecting them to trails in Hennepin County. I recently took a tour of the construction area, and it's sad to think that this final Louisville segment of County Road 14 will likely be canceled. This will be a terrible hit to Shakopee. These all support transit and bike pedestrian across my county. They all are going to be impacted by the loss of this $3 million per year that is now proposed to go to the Met Council BRT. And as I said before, there's no BRT projects in Scott County planned. Removing the transportation sales tax funding from the counties will jeopardize or eliminate critical projects and will likely affect the pocketbooks of my neighbors in Shakopee and greater Scott County. Again, my heart is heavy because I truly feel at multiple levels our partnership between the state and the local government is being betrayed and broken. Thank you very much for allowing me to speak today.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Brennan. Welcome, Commissioner Halverson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members of the work group. I am here on behalf of Dakota County and MICA. My name is Lori Halverson. I serve as Vice Chair of the Dakota County Board of Commissioners and Vice President of the Minnesota Intercounty Association. And I come to you today to share our opposition with the proposal that diverts millions of dollars dedicated to local projects throughout the metro area and gives it to the Met Council. I'm here to tell you all, our taxpayers expect you to deliver on your promise to invest in local projects that will modernize our transportation system. Shifting money to the Met Council fails in that promise. Our communities currently will be collecting about 30% when you look at the ring counties of the sales tax dollars. We look to realize about 4% of that once this proposal goes through. And at the same time, we have been committed with you as partners to the possibility of a transformational approach of the 2023 transportation bill. And we have been responding to calls for transit and multimodal opportunities in our districts. The Met Council does fulfill some of those needs. However, it can't be everything to everyone. And so as a county, we have created a much more comprehensive plan in results to what our commissioners or our constituents are asking for. We work with partners to expand transit opportunities, such as Lyft to serve people with disability, DARTS to expand transit options for our seniors, and the MVTA, the Minnesota Valley Transit Authority, serving our communities with circulator routes and specialty routes that our riders are asking for. We also are hearing calls from our constituent who desperately want to use walking and biking as transportation in our communities. However, the old infrastructure is all about moving cars, as many cars as possible, as fast as we can. Our view is to change that vision and to create safe bike and pedestrian routes that not only provide recreation, but transportation in our communities. We are re-engineering miles of roads to reduce lanes, to reduce speeds, and to add bike and pedestrian routes along all of those roads. Counties are your partners in policymaking. We know what our residents are asking for because we engage in robust civic engagement engagement when we talk about the plans, the infrastructure plans that we are creating in our communities. If you have questions about what we're doing, ask us. We know what our constituents and your constituents are asking for. Counties are key to creating the comprehensive visionary regional system of transit and transportation that you all envisioned in 2023 and that we helped you craft. We sincerely ask you to remove the proposal that threatens county projects and reduces our ability to deliver on the promise of transformational change in our transportation system. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Halverson. Welcome, Commissioner Bigham.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, Madam Chair, Mr. Chair. I am Carla Bigham. I'm the Washington County Commissioner. I'm also Vice Chair of the Board. I am speaking on behalf of Washington County regarding the proposal that shifts the county allocation of transportation sales tax funds to the Met Council affecting the metro area counties. In 2023, lawmakers worked alongside county officials and other stakeholders to pass a transformative transportation bill, one that was shaped by collaboration, compromise, and transparency. That bill balanced the needs of the Met Council with the reality on the ground in our communities, ensuring that counties had resources to improve local transit, roads, and pedestrian connectivity. Unfortunately, the current proposal threatens to unravel that process. The Transportation Working Group's recommendation to slash county funding in half without a bill, without a public hearing, lack of transparency, and without the voices of counties, simply unacceptable. Washington County stands to lose more than half of the funding we rely on for vital multimodal projects. It's about $14 million over 4 years. These projects impact thousands of residents and touch every legislative district in our county. The proposal being pushed forward without due process that our communities deserve. Washington County supports a strong regional transit system and has demonstrated our commitment to partner with the Met Council, and that is demonstrated through the recent opening of the Metro Gold Line, a project that Ramsey and Washington County provided key roles in planning, building, and now maintaining. But we cannot support a policy that undermines local planning, jeopardizes projects that counties have spent years preparing for. Counties matter. Counties are local control. Counties deliver more fiscally efficient projects than Met Council ever has or will. What is troubling is this proposal does not appear necessary to meet budget targets. Met Council did not request this proposal. In fact, Met Council has so much money that they have the capacity to loan MnDOT up to $250 million for highway construction. It is unclear why counties must shoulder this financial burden when other avenues exist. We urge lawmakers to reject any proposal that reduces the county allocation of transportation sales tax funds. We thank you for your time and your continued work on behalf of Minnesota's communities.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Bigham. So I'll now call up Lyndon Robgen from Carver County, Darren Lee from the Coalition of Greater Minnesota Cities, Patrick Hines from the Alliance for Automotive Innovation. All right. Welcome to the committee.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. Thank you for the opportunity to testify. My name is Lyndon Robgen, and I'm the Public Works Director and County Engineer for Carver County. I'm here on behalf of Carver County to voice opposition to Article 2, Section 81, to revise the regional transportation sales tax formula that reduces the Metro County share from 17% to 8.5%. The little we've heard is that the shift is needed to provide funding for Metro Transit to build out the Metro BRT system. We are unaware of this additional need given the $450 million per year that is already going to Met Transit. We have not yet seen the expanded plan for BRT, but no, there are no BRT lines proposed in Carver County. With that, Mr. Chair, thank you for all your work on the 2023 transportation bill. that provided a significant increase in revenue for all modes of transportation, including the creation of the Transportation Advancement Account. The TAA Fund and its 3 subgroups help us to preserve our road system, enhance our trails and pedestrian infrastructure, and expand our transit service. Carver County's share of the TAA is about $6 million per year. $2.5 million per year, or 41.5%, is used for roadway preservation, with almost all the new money covering inflation, which was averaging 8% per year until recently. 2.5 million, or 41%, is used for active transportation, and that's a game changer for Carver County and will make a significant impact on our trail network. As a suburban county, we have struggled to win grants through the Metropolitan Council's regional solicitation, so this new fund is critical for our communities to enhance our regional trail network and address ADA needs. The 17%, or about $1 million, for transit and greenhouse gas mitigation provides funding to plan and implement expanded transit to areas of the county outside of the transit taxing district. We are in the planning phase with Southwest Transit to expand microtransit through their Southwest Prime service and have funded weekend and evening SmartLink TransitLink dial-a-ride service in partnership with Met Council. Reducing the TAA fund is a step backwards for counties and will reduce our ability to enhance our trail and pedestrian network and expand our transit service. Even with the proposed flexibility to use the remaining 8.5%, we have to focus on preserving our existing road infrastructure at the expense of active transportation and transit. This was not the intent of the 2023 legislation. Carver County urges you to reconsider the reduction in county transportation funding. We appreciate the partnership the counties have built with the legislature to provide an effective transportation system. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Robgent. Welcome, Mr. Lee.
Thank you, Chair Dibble, members of the committee. My name is Darren Lee with the Coalition of Greater Minnesota Cities. Appreciate your work in putting this bill together. I do want to point out a couple of things. I know you had a difficult target to meet, and it's easy for people to say we wanted more money for this and we wanted more money for that, but just a couple of items on the corridors of commerce. We were disappointed to see there was an increase in both bills, in the House bill, and a greater increase, I believe, in the Senate bill, and now to see a cut in that, that's one of our top priorities for programs in transportation. Who knows, maybe there'll be money in a bonding bill for that, and so that's why it's being cut here, so we'll see. And then also Greater Minnesota Transit, we appreciate that the cut was not as severe as what had been proposed in some versions of the bill, but still disappointed to see a cut there. And then on the HUTDF, in the Senate bill, to see the reduction in 2028 and 2029, there's no reduction in the House bill, and to see that reduction out through 2036 is a disappointment. However, we are happy to see that electric vehicle surcharge in there, and appreciate that that'll make up some of that reduction. On the greenhouse gas emissions impact assessment language in the bill, I just wanted to point out a couple of things. We appreciate Section 109 allowing some money there to be spent for those offset actions in 161.178. Do appreciate the addition of some mitigation options, specifically line 50.27 through line 50.29. That 10th clause there on line 50.30, not clear how some of those items in Chapter 86A.04 are going to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, but do appreciate some of those, some more flexibility there. The key is just how those offset actions are linked to the project, and so we appreciate some more clarity on that. But thank you for the opportunity, Mr. Chair.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Lee. Welcome, Mr. Hines.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members. My name is Patrick Hines with Messerly Kramer. I'm here on behalf of the Alliance for Automotive Innovation, which represents the manufacturers of 90% of the cars and light-duty trucks in the country. Auto Innovators opposes the excessive EV fees released this afternoon by the working group in the draft bill. Minnesota EV sales of 7.25% are far lower than the national average. Despite the passage of Clean Cars Minnesota, which was an expensive and ineffective one-year experiment, EV sales only increased 0.9% from 2023 to 2024, and this bill won't help change that. Minnesota's EV tax is supposed to be a fair and reasonable approximation of what the driver of an internal combustion engine would pay in gas tax. This can be determined very easily. You simply take the annual vehicle miles traveled, divided by fuel economy for new vehicles, and multiply it by the gas tax. This results in a fee of approximately $150. Auto Innovator supports that level because it is fair, reasonable, and replaces lost gas tax revenue to build and repair roads and bridges. An EV fee based on MSRP or the age of the vehicle is not fair and not reasonable because neither price nor the age of a vehicle has any connection to miles driven. The proposal released today would impose a massive $250 tax on a car costing $50,000. That rate is simply punitive and has no connection to miles traveled. It would be the highest in the nation. It would dissuade people from buying EVs. And I note even the bottom end fee of $100 for an older EV is 5 times higher than the bottom end registration fee. On top of this, the bill adds a 5-cent per kilowatt hour tax on public charging stations. This is higher than the vast majority of states. Thankfully, that tax is not imposed on in-home charging, but the kilowatt hour tax will be particularly painful for renters who rely on public chargers as opposed to those in their own homes. We urge the working group to simply adopt a reasonable EV fee of $150. Minnesota is on track to be one of the, if not the worst states in the nation for EV owners, and this trend should be reversed, not accelerated. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hines. Lost my... Buried my... Okay, sorry, lost my list here. Buried it under papers. So I will invite Margaret Donahoe forward. We have Michael Wojcik, who will be testifying remotely, and we have MJ Carpio from Move Minnesota. Welcome, Ms. Donahoe.
Thank you, Chair Dibble, Chair Cagle, and Chair Kosnick, and members of the working group. I'm Margaret Donahoe, Director of the Minnesota Transportation Alliance. Appreciate the opportunity to talk to you today. Thank you so much for all of your work in developing the transportation budget bill. We know you faced a very challenging target with a negative general fund target for 2 biennia. But as you've heard, we're all working to try to maintain as much as possible the important gains that were made with the 2023 transportation funding package. We know that it is so important to have stable, dedicated, ongoing revenue for planning purposes and construction of projects that take years to develop, design, and construct with multiple jurisdictions and multiple funding sources. We understand that some reductions were needed, although the reduction in the percentage of the sales tax from auto repair parts is something we're concerned about. Over 4 years, that's a $94.8 million cut to the Highway User Fund. However, we greatly appreciate the increase in the fees, the electric vehicle fees, that over 4 years will provide $80.5 million, leaving a net reduction of $14.3 million. We especially appreciate the per kilowatt hour charge at public charging stations so that travelers from other states who are driving through Minnesota will also contribute to the upkeep of our roads. Our members do have serious concerns about the reduction from 17% to 8.5% of the metropolitan area sales tax revenue allocated to metropolitan area counties. After the work done in 2023 to agree on this distribution and the uses of the revenue, counties, working with local partners, incorporated this funding into plans for critically needed transportation projects. The loss of this revenue will now delay or cancel projects involving safety, transit, pedestrian, bike, and roadway improvements that would benefit the entire metropolitan area. The governor's operating budget request for the Metropolitan Council did not include the need for any additional revenue for BRT development, and his capital budget request included $5 million for environmental engineering and construction work along regional busway corridors. We are concerned that this proposal was not included in either bill or in any of the committee discussion about this bill. Again, thank you for your work in developing a transportation budget under challenging circumstances. Critical safety, accessibility, and mobility improvements in our transportation system take years to realize. That is why it is so important to have stable, dedicated, ongoing funding. Projects and plans need community involvement, coordination among jurisdictions and agencies, and multiple funding sources for completion. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Donahoe. I'll call on Michael Wojcik from the Minnesota Bicycle Alliance to join us remotely.
Thank you, Chair Dibble, members. I know that some of you don't necessarily enjoy doing this on a Friday afternoon. I think this is good fun, and I enjoy being here among people who really care about these issues, because these are very important issues. Anytime you have a negative budget target, there's going to be some compromises and sacrifices that have to be made. And speaking on behalf of the Bicycle Alliance of Minnesota and our tens of thousands of members and supporters around the state in every county, we have a number of concerns as well. We certainly would like to have seen jaywalking reform go forward, local design guide options, highway purposes language. All of these things serve to decrease the amount of money that we're spending and increase safety. It's particularly disenfranchising to see that in this day and age, the number of fatalities and serious injuries on Minnesota's roadways are increasing, and the percentage of those that are people who bike, walk, and roll is also increasing. This is a real problem. Just yesterday in Rochester, we had a serious crash, could have been fatal, in downtown Rochester, where the design of the roadways played a big part in that. Now, we understand that compromises have to be made, and we've been looking at the compromises that were signed off on by the various committee leaders and state professionals, and we understand that part of that compromise was this transit shift to the Metropolitan Council. When we view who's doing the work of making people who bike, walk, and roll safer, we certainly see that in most situations, the Metropolitan Council is more serious about serving the needs of people who bike, walk, roll, and use transit than we're seeing in a lot of counties. We believe that counties are unnecessarily overbuilding infrastructure, prioritizing speed, prioritizing throughput, based on vehicle growth models that we know are incorrect based on what has to happen in the state of Minnesota. We believe for counties there is more savings in adjusting those figures to reality than there is as part of this shift. We commend the counties, particularly the work going on in Hennepin County, for their commitment to safe biking, walking, rolling. But to the extent that it's going to upend this deal, if we're going to reopen the negotiation, there are a number of other items we'd like to renegotiate too. I think this is part of getting the deal done, and we do believe the Metropolitan Council will be a partner in doing good transit. There's been a little bit of a belief that there's a competition here between biking, walking, rolling, and transit. These are very complementary for the 30% of Minnesotans who do not drive and the 10% of households that don't even have access to an automobile. We look forward to working with all partners who work in good faith towards addressing the serious crisis in traffic injuries and fatalities in the state of Minnesota. This bill is not everything that we wanted it to be, but we only ask that if you're going to reopen this for negotiation, that we be a part of that and be able to renegotiate some of the parts that we're not enthralled about either. Thank you for your time and commitment, and we are always here to work with you and help you on these issues.
Thank you, Mr. Wojcik. MJ Carpio, welcome.
Good afternoon, Chairs Dibble, Cagle, and Kosnick. My name is MJ Carpio, Executive Director of Move Minnesota and Move Minnesota Action. I'm here today to thank you for for your work. Thank you for allowing the transportation greenhouse gas emissions impact assessment or driving down emissions law to be implemented on schedule. This is critical for ensuring that trunk highway and multimodal projects are done in support of Minnesota's greenhouse gas emissions and vehicle miles traveled reduction goals. And thank you for appropriating funds to transportation management organizations. This is important for our local work on commuter education and assistance, and also in supporting our region in mitigating congestion and reducing transportation pollution. When we secured long-term dedicated funding for transit, biking, walking, and rolling in 2023 and strengthened our driving down emissions law in 2024, we put Minnesota on a nation-leading path to a healthier, more affordable, and more sustainable future. Although it's disappointing to see cuts in public transit operations, Move Minnesota remains committed to building a vision for a more accessible and equitable transportation system that works for everyone. We'll continue to push so that our hard-earned resources for public transit continue to improve people's lives and adapt to climate change at the rate that we need to after decades of underinvestment. And with federal funding continuing to be uncertain for transportation and climate resiliency projects, I hope to keep working with you to build a transportation system that serves Minnesotans and protects our health, environment, and our future. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. I'll call forward Sarah Wolf from Minnesota Interfaith Power and Light, Amity Foster from Isaiah, and John Thorson from LiUNA. Welcome.
Thank you very much, Chair Dibble, Chair Cagle, and Chair Kosnick, and members of the working group. My name is Sarah Wolf, and I'm the Strategic Policy Director for Minnesota Interfaith Power and Light, where we work with communities across the state to promote climate solutions that are equitable and effective. We would like to express appreciation that you've found a way to largely maintain investments in transit in the metro area. This is important to improve the daily lives of everyone in our community, from those who either can't or choose not to drive, to those who drive but experience less congestion because other options serve the varied needs of our neighbors. And while we regret the introductions to Greater Minnesota Transit, we are happy to see elimination of those cuts in the out years. We also want to express appreciation for allowing MnDOT to keep our collective goals in mind as it is developing projects, because the greenhouse gas emissions and vehicle miles traveled impact assessment law is intact. Thank you very much for your work.
Thank you, Ms. Wolf. Welcome, Amity Foster.
Thank you, Chair Dibble, Kegel, and Kosnick, and members of the committee. My name is Amity Foster. I'm a leader with Isaiah, and I live in SD 60. I'd like to speak in support of the transportation bill as written. I am a transit rider. I choose to be one, but I'm also unable to drive. I, like thousands of people, need our transit system to be reliable, efficient, and funded. In 2023, we won long-term dedicated transit funding through the metro area sales tax, and we are seeing the impacts of that. Our transit system is growing with Network Now. Metro Transit is no longer on a fiscal cliff. Operators are being hired, the transit system is safer, and we are on the right path. Up until 2023, we were not funding our transit system the way it needed to be. It felt very tooth and claw. Transit riders, like me, felt that fight in our rides. Trips were being cut. The build-out of the system was taking a long time. We can't keep making transit riders bear the burden of budget cuts. I want to share what those 2023 means in action. For me, it means that buses are running more frequently, which means that my trip times are shorter. It means that I don't have to worry about rearranging my entire day if my first bus is late. That impacts if I can catch the second bus, what meeting I have to reschedule, how I get home. That's not an issue so much anymore. It also means that when I get on the train, my ride is safer because of the trip agents that we funded in 2023. This bill keeps the pace of those wins. It continues to provide the council and Metro Transit the resources they need to actually create a world-class transit system, one that will bring more people on board, one that will connect more communities, and do it faster. Finally, It is not an exaggeration to say that our futures are at stake when we cut transit funding. Addressing the climate crisis means that we have got to get people out of their cars and onto public transit. The state and local governments have committed to climate goals. Continuing to fund public transit is part of the path to those goals and to making and keeping all of our communities connected. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Welcome, Mr. Thorson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, Madam Co-Chair, Mr. Co-Chair. I'm John Thorson with LiUNA, Minnesota, North Dakota. We represent 14,000 men and women who build and maintain our infrastructure in the state, including the roads, bridges, highways, and things necessary for the economy to thrive. I'm here today to speak on behalf of not only LiUNA, but the other trades unions involved in the building of roads and bridges. That would be the operators, Local 49, the carpenters, the iron workers, and the cement masons. I want to thank you for putting together some investments that are forward-looking into the highway, dedicated to roads and bridges and the highway user distribution tax distribution fund. I'll get it. The money's going to the right place, and I appreciate it. And it's it is important that it's there because in cuts environment, these are resources that are dedicated to roads and bridges and not subject to those pressures. And we support the addition of revenue that's collected from electric vehicle registrations, which also includes the plug-in hybrids, but also a very forward-looking approach to beginning to look at treating electricity that fuels powered vehicles to be treated the same as any other fuels per Article 14 in the Constitution. We're also grateful for the thoughtful approach of having a work group to determine how to implement this in a way that works. I believe we'd be the 12th or 13th state in the country to do this, and there's a lot to learn from experiences of other states, so we can do this represent the laborers, but an old carpenter joke would be to measure, I don't know, twice, 8, 9 times over the course of the next 2 years and hopefully make 1 or 2 cuts. And we'll have 2 legislative sessions to make adjustments to make sure it's done right and done in a way that's going to work for Minnesota. But I appreciate the approach that you all have taken to work with us to move in this direction. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Thorson. I will now call Joe Harrington from R Streets, Eric Harris Bernstein from We Make Minnesota, and Peter Wagenius from the Sierra Club North Star chapter. Welcome, Mr. Harrington.
Good afternoon, Chair Dibble, Chair Cagle, Chair Koznick, and members of the committee. My name is Joe Harrington. I'm the policy manager at R Streets. Our organization aims to build a safe and sustainable transportation system that promote vibrant communities across Minnesota. Thank you for the opportunity to be here today and comment on the final transportation agreement. It's pretty safe to say it's been a long road to get here, no pun intended, and within the context of these really difficult circumstances this year, a divided House, federal funding uncertainty, inflationary pressures, and structural issues with the way that we fund and build transportation in Minnesota, all those factors played a role in today's context. We knew we wouldn't get a transformative bill like 2023, but we also really appreciate the principle that transit riders should not bear all of these cuts alone. I'm here today to support the bill while recognizing its shortcomings and the difficult circumstances behind it. I want to acknowledge a clear tension in the bill and in the room here today. Many metro and Minnesota counties are still prioritizing unnecessary and costly highway expansions over other common sense investments like transit and active transportation. This only drives our worsening transportation finances as a state and our burden on our road system, which is already the 4th largest in the country and is not necessary for our population or economy. I also want to acknowledge that some places, Hennepin County in particular, is a good faith partner in investing differently, and we hope to see continued leadership from Hennepin County in the space and for future conversations at the legislature to provide them with the resources and other jurisdictions who actually want to do this important work and rethink our transportation system. But I want to emphasize in the context of this year, this deal seems like a solution to a difficult problem, and we really honestly want to see much needed and widely popular investments in transit continue despite our fiscal outlook. And to that end, I'm really glad to see other policy conversations that laid the groundwork for thinking differently about transportation and advance this year, even if they weren't included in the final bill. We really need stable, dedicated funding for all modes of transportation, for just cars, and really our maintenance burden continues to grow bigger on a system that's so large that we can't afford to maintain it. The tight state and local budgets highlighted here today make the highway purposes conversation that happened this year even more important, highlighting the critical need for coordinating projects like the F-line, where MnDOT and Met Council say that just one misaligned project would waste $18 million, create duplicative planning and rework, and cause 2 or 3 extra years of construction disruptions. These inefficiencies create system-wide poor governance and have ironically created a new form of leakage through this wasteful spending. There's a lot more work to be done here. It's an imperfect solution to a difficult problem, but again, really appreciate all the work that went into this bill, and thank you for the opportunity to testify today.
Thank you, Mr. Harrington. All right, Mr. Harris Bernstein, welcome.
Chair Dibble, Chair Cagle, and Chair Kosnick. My name is Eric Bernstein. I'm the director of We Make Minnesota. We are a labor and grassroots coalition united in support of a fair tax code and a budget sufficient to meet the state's public investment needs. Thank you for the opportunity to express our support for the new per kilowatt hour taxes on public EV charging stations and other policies implemented in the future that will help ensure that the state has stable transportation funding that it needs. As public and private vehicle fleets switch from gas to electric, it is essential we maintain this funding. MnDOT estimates that gas tax revenues are declining relative to the past and to the costs of our infrastructure projects. Save for the gas tax indexing in 2023, the loss would be even greater. So this shift is very important. Automotive vehicles carry with them substantial costs on society, and electric vehicles are no exception. They demand the same road network as gas-powered vehicles, and they also require new power networks and charging stations. So it's fair and necessary that the purchase and operation of these vehicles contribute to the construction and maintenance of the public infrastructure that they depend on. If we don't do this, we know that projects will get delayed. They become more costly in the future. There are also more substantial projects if they're delayed, and so we get into a bad cycle there. So we're really glad to see that the committees are thinking forward thinking in this way, and that we're going to try and solve this problem before it gets even greater. Minnesota has long succeeded because we invest in the foundations of a strong workforce, strong communities, and there's perhaps no more investment more foundational than our physical transportation infrastructure. So we urge you to maintain this competitive edge by ensuring sufficient state funding both now and into the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Bernstein. Welcome, Mr. Wagenius.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Peter Wagenius from Sierra Club, testifying in support of the bill. Context is crucial here. When the governor proposes eliminating 100% of state general funds for Metro Transit, that makes it really difficult for you to equitably distribute budget impacts by mode. So we applaud you for knowing it's unfair to land all the cuts on transit. Minnesotans know, with a deficit and a divided legislature, we weren't going to get another historic transportation bill like you passed in 2023. But Minnesotans do expect that the victories of 2023 should not be needlessly undone. The 2023 bill provided funding for expansion of bus rapid transit that benefits the whole metro area, as well as badly needed operating funds. You recognized in 2023 both decades of underinvestment, and you built on the cost-effective success of our first BRT projects, a model for the nation. By making the choices you made in this bill, the promised expansion of BRT can stay on track. Also in 2023, you recognize that the climate crisis is real by passing the GHG VMT targets, which we call the Climate Impact of Highways Law. This year, some wanted to undo that, to deny the climate crisis, go backwards and undermine that law, including the Association of Metro Counties, the Minnesota Inter-County Association, and the County Engineers Association. But again, thank you. You are keeping us on track. As noted in February, 2 of the loudest counties complaining about this bill already have the authority to raise their transportation funds. They just don't want to. Years ago, you gave all the counties both a wheelage tax and a half-cent sales tax. Here's the 2023 map of all the counties using that authority and which ones are not. The 2025 map is the same in the metro area. Year after year, some counties voluntarily forego millions of dollars because some commissioners took a fiscally irresponsible anti-tax pledge, even for roads. That's not your problem. In effect, those counties keep saying they want you legislators to take the tough revenue vote, which they refuse to take themselves. Transit riders don't have that power, the power to just use existing authority to meet their needs. They and everyone who wants a sustainable future needs you to have their backs. And in this bill, you do. Again, thank you. Finally, there's no trade-off between environmental and financial sustainability. Separate from any climate considerations, we need greater efficiency and a fix-it-first approach which prioritizes asset preservation. Endless lane expansions to facilitate endless sprawl is extremely expensive. Nobody who pushes for those expansions can explain where the money will come from to maintain the sprawl they keep building. Please vote yes, and thank you for your good work on this bill.
Thank you, Mr. Wagenius. I'll call up Amanda Dewar from the Minnesota Automobile Dealers Association and Tony Quillis of Quick Trip. Welcome, Ms. Dewar.
Thank you, Chair Dibble, Chair Cagle, and Chair Kosnick. My name is Amanda Dewar, and I'm the Director of Government Affairs for the Minnesota Automobile Dealers Association. I understand this was a challenging budget target and bill negotiation, so I want to thank you all for including several priorities of Minnesota's franchise new motor vehicle dealers on this bill, increasing the non-resident temporary permit from 31 to 60 days, granting licensed dealers in contiguous states access to the EVTR framework, and allowing the use of dealer plates for courtesy vehicles. I would be remiss, however, if I didn't express our disappointment that the larger dealer plate reform proposal that was included in the House bill was not included here. In a year where preventing fraud and abuse has been a significant legislative topic, this proposal would have provided meaningful reform by right-sizing the price of dealer plates and closer tracking of dealer plate distribution by our association. More disappointing, though, is the process, as we would have really liked the opportunity to discuss this proposal and address any concerns that members may have had. I understand this is the bill that's going to be passed, but I do hope we can continue this conversation next year. We also have some concerns with the new language requiring licensing and imposing taxation on EV charging station operators. Numerous motor vehicle dealers have chargers on site as a customer convenience. Combined with the $100 EV inspection fees that are included in the Commerce bill, this is a significant increase in taxes and fees on EV charging stations. If locations that offer chargers as a customer convenience and not their main source of revenue, like auto dealers, sell low volumes of electricity, the juice may just not be worth the squeeze, so they may opt not to provide the stations at all, which would be counterproductive to EV adoption. And while we don't typically weigh in on the EV surcharge, we do have concerns with the totality of circumstances that this bill would have a negative impact on the EV market in Minnesota. Again, thank you all for your work this session, and we look forward to continued work moving forward.
Thank you, Ms. Dewar. Welcome, Mr. Quillis.
Mr. Chairman, Chair Cagle, Chair Kosnick, my name is Tony Quillis. I'm representing Quick Trip. I also realize I'm last on the list, and I've also realized that Representative Kosnick had mentioned happy hour, and we have definitely worked our way into it by now, so I will be brief, Mr. Chairman. But I have the honor of representing Quick Trip. We have 213 stores located here in Minnesota, and I'd like to express some concerns about the EV tax that is proposed in here, starting on page 96, line 28. The first concern deals with a fairness issue, and the tax would be imposed on private for-profit businesses, but not on public charging stations. So private businesses would pay the tax, but cities, counties, state facilities, and the Met Council that offer EV chargers would not pay the tax. For example, if there was a facility located across the street from a city hall or a county courthouse that offers EV charging, same car, same road, would take a left and go into a convenience store, would pay the tax. They would take a right, go into a city hall or a county courthouse, they would not pay the tax. And so we would like to try and figure out a way to do that, and I'll get into that in a little bit. Second issue is clarification. Not all cities, counties, and state facilities own their EV chargers. Some of those EV chargers might be located on public land, but are contracted with those governmental units with private installers. So we'd like to see if we can get some clarification around that. And then finally, Mr. Chair and Chair Cagle and Chair Kosnick, private facilities don't pay their electric bill by the kilowatt hour. They pay it by the month. And so trying to work our way through how sales tax and excise taxes would work on that monthly bill is something we'd like to work on. Which leads to me, Mr. Chairman, to thanking the working group for the working group language on 133.17 and dedicating a seat to convenience stores or fueling stations. We're fortunate enough at Quick Trip that we have the expertise in establishment on similar programs in other states. Look forward to working on that working group. And then finally, Mr. Chairman, in your packets also, some of the concerns are expressed by Fueling Minnesota. So, Mr. Chairman and working group, thank you for the time and the ability to make those comments.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Quillis. At this point, I'll invite anyone forward who hadn't had a chance to sign up ahead of time, who would like to share some thoughts with the committee. All right, seeing none, we'll bring the conversation back to the committee. The first thing I'm going to do, though, is there was some testimony about, I think, some perceived reductions to the transportation advancement account that I don't think is the case. I was going to ask Ms. Boyd, perhaps, to clarify the funds that would flow to the TAA, despite the pause, if you will, in the transfer of funds from the auto parts sales tax to transportation purposes to meet the general fund target cut goal.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, the changes to the auto parts sales tax, in current law, HUTDF has a steady 43.5% share of that tax. The TAA has a slightly increasing percentage of that tax every year. And eventually by fiscal year 2033, the general fund portion of that, the remainder would tick down to zero. The changes in the bill as is would change the general fund and HUTDF portions to offset each other. The TAA percentages as in current law will remain the same. So starting in fiscal year 26 through now, I believe fiscal year 2036, in the bill language, the HUTDF portion will be somewhere below 43.5% every year, and that difference will flow to the general fund. So the TAA portion will remain the same.
Great, thank you. So I hope that settles some of the concern that the local units of government were feeling about the reduction that they were perceiving to come from that reduction of the TA. That will not occur. So with that, members, Senator or Representative Tabke, and then keep doing that. Representative Tabke, and then I see Representative Kosnick.
Okay, thank you very much, Chair Dibble, and thank you very much to everybody who has been here today and shared their thoughts on the bill and what everything looks like moving forward. And while we disagree on the final outcome with everything, I really want to specifically thank the county folks for being here and talking about concerns and where you're at on this bill. It is really important to recognize that cuts suck. Cuts, they just do. It's a really, really hard thing. And as we were working through things, and my values that were in here is that we cannot and will not balance this budget in the state of Minnesota solely on the backs of transit riders. We just won't do that. It's not okay. So if you just look at the general fund cuts, that most of the funding that is available in general fund is all transit, is mostly transit money, and of that, the cuts in the general fund, 75% of that is all from transit, specifically from transit and not from anywhere else. And so we needed to balance that, and then this is the way that we balanced those cuts to get to an end product that didn't just damage one section of our transportation system. And so that's the goal, and the intent of this is to make sure that we are balancing those things. And so by creating this, what we have, which didn't get talked about a whole lot today, is the counties all session have been talking to us. The number one thing that we heard from counties about is greenhouse gas mitigation and concerns about the costs around greenhouse gas mitigations. And as that bill comes into full effect, and especially as we get into the portfolio phase of things, and from there, what this will do is it will create a much larger pool of funding and offsets that are available to counties. So in Scott County, in Dakota County, when Highway 13 gets redone, this is a pool of funding for greenhouse gas mitigation that will be available to our counties in order for them to be able to use. And so I think that's a really important thing that got lost in this conversation today, that will help folks all across the state, and especially in the 7-county metro with that. And then the other piece is that in 2023, super proud, as everyone discussed today, of the bill that we passed in 23. And where we got to with that, and I'm really proud of my role that I played in there, and that's $3 billion, $3 billion with a B, of new money in the 7-county metro area. So it's a huge portion of money that is all going to the 7-county metro area. And with that, we are, with these cuts that are happening and that we have to do in order to balance our budget and to pass a budget, that is from there, those cuts that are happening are balanced by the combination of the two things. And so I just wanted to make sure that we are really talking about those things, and so that still, since 2023, a $2.5 billion increase of funding to counties. And so I've got the data. I know some people, I've been sharing it, I've been talking with a lot of folks as we have been going through this the last few days, and I just really appreciate everyone discussing this. Everybody doesn't have to come out in the same place with this, but the cuts are rough, cuts are terrible. This is, I think, a good solution that helps to build out a regional transit network for the entire metro that's geographically balanced. Can I ask a couple questions of folks, Mr. Chair, while we're
Certainly.
Okay. Could I ask Met Council to come up?
Certainly. Who from the Met? Okay, see, Charles Carson and Mr. Shetman. Welcome.
So I'm going to, on behalf of counties that I've been talking with, county commissioners I've been talking with this week and this morning, I met with a bunch of county engineers. One of the biggest questions that people have is how can we ensure and how can we make sure that counties and communities like mine in Shakopee are represented as this goes forward. So the legislation requires geographically balanced plans for things, but also the by January 15th of 2026 for a transit plan to be put forward to the legislature. How will you, I'm going to ask two questions at the same time. So one is, how are you going to incorporate and how are you going to engage with cities and counties in the development of this plan? And then secondly, how are financial resources going to be used for these things? Are counties going to be expected to fund everything that they currently have been funding? Like, how does that work, and what's the expectation?
Thank you. Who would like to respond?
Mr. Chair,
Mr. Shetman.
and members, my name is Judd Shetman. I'm the Government Affairs Director for the Metropolitan Council. I appreciate the opportunity to speak to the working group here. And Representative Tapke, you mentioned that the language requires an implementation plan. And as part of that, there is specific language in there that talks about engagement. And I think you're getting to that in your question. I think one of the things that we can do is maybe talk about that a little bit further here to maybe give folks some more detail on that. And I'm going to ask Mr. Carlson here to maybe dig into that a little bit deeper.
Welcome, Mr. Carlson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. My name is Charles Carlson. I serve as Executive Director for Metropolitan Transportation Services at the Metropolitan Council. We've read the language in the bill regarding the implementation plan in Section 110. As we do through other partnerships, past and present, to implement these projects, the Council would work closely with our local government partners and others as identified in the bill to develop the implementation plan. Several potential lines are included in the region's 2050 transportation plan as unfunded lines. Those would form a basis, as well as the ongoing work that Metro Transit is doing on the arterial BRT system to identify future lines. Language in the bill identifies the need for an equitable distribution and regional balance, as well as consideration of transit market areas. Through the Met Council's work with the Transportation Advisory Board, we are very familiar with the need for geographic balance across the region, and the Council is committed to achieving that as the bill requires.
Representative Tapke.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair, and thank you very much for that answer. And so I just want to let everyone know as this moves forward, and also make sure that Met Council knows and is on notice, like as this moves forward and gets into action, that I will be very difficult to deal with as this, to make sure that this is having that geographic balance, and make sure that this is taking care of all of our communities across the region, and so that we are building a better transit system for everyone to be able to use, and not just a few people as it currently stands, because we have to have a fully built out transit system, and I firmly believe that bus rapid transit is the way to go forward with that. So I appreciate the time, Mr. Chair, and appreciate the answers and all the conversations that we've had through here, and continue to have those conversations and talk through and make sure that this is as successful as possible for every single person across the region. So thank you.
Thank you, Representative Tapke. Before I call on you, Representative Koznick, I'm going to take the chair's prerogative and just build a little bit on what Representative Tapke kind of asked a second part to the question that I don't think we got a full response to, and that has to do with as the bus rapid transit system build out is accelerated, that has implications, of course, for counties' budgets and cities' budgets. That's commonly referred to as the local cost share, and that concern has been expressed to us. And I know we had some discussion about that in the last biennium, but I think that really this proposal puts a greater emphasis on those concerns. We know Senator Jasinski brings it to our attention a lot when MnDOT comes through with projects, the local cost share, and my own city talks a lot about MnDOT projects and local cost share disrupting the capital improvement program and making ample use of MSA, et cetera. So could you envision that with these resources that local cost share could be, there could be greater relief for local units of government with that in that respect?
Mr. Chair and working group members, I appreciate that question as well. And if we are talking, going back to last session, there was conversation about the adjacent corners to transitways. And at that point in time, we were potentially trying to figure out how that would be funded. I think with this language that is being proposed and these funds that are expressly for ABRT and BRT, highway BRT expansion in the regional system, I think it would fall into the category where the council would be responsible for all four corners of those intersections versus just the two that were previously part of the transitway. And I think that that would hopefully be a benefit to our local partners, county partners as well.
Great, I thank you. I appreciate your response to that inquiry. It's kind of the general direction we were looking for. I don't know if that's going to manifest in change to the package in front of us, or we'll continue to have that conversation or seek some written assurance from you in that regard, but appreciate the opportunity to ask and your response. Representative Koznick.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I appreciate all the people that testified, and try not to drag this out very long, but I think it is important to have a good discussion about the comments that were made. The process is unfortunately very messy, but we can do better, and so that's one of the things that I heard and do hear. And I apologize that we are at this point where our county partners are feeling very unheard and maybe heard today, but being heard in kind of a check the box committee hearing before this gets put in front of the legislature for a special session isn't really the transparency or the process that we want. And they're here and are willing and have been for the last couple of days since this kind of came out to engage. And I hope that we can not just hear them, but actually listen and work with our county partners that this process, this is a big policy shift, big tax shift that really shouldn't have been part of this particular process, and I think would be better served in a policy year. The money that's being shifted is not necessary to meet our general fund target that was assigned to us, first and foremost. You can talk about values and all that kind of stuff, but that is our goal, and this we're imposing something on our county partners, almost half the state's population, and taking resources out of those communities that are actually an integral part of transit and transportation. And they provide transit in ways that the Met Council isn't able to do in our local communities and neighborhoods. And so I appreciate the people that have testified to do that. If I can back up, Mr. Chair, I shared with you earlier, there's two amendments. We're not taking votes or action today, but for discussion purposes that we will continue to have, I hope, through the next 48 hours. Would you like to take other discussion, or should I move to discussing the amendments that I'd shared and I believe were passed out a little bit earlier?
Why don't we go ahead and deal with those now?
Okay. So in relation to this overall discussion, there are a lot of things in the bills that we could comment on, but particularly because this wasn't as transparent and our partners weren't included in it, part of the discussion of having this bus rapid transit when it was proposed in the negotiations was also negotiated with some greenhouse gas mitigation offsets that unfortunately had a drafting error. I think Mr. Lee from the Coalition of Greater Minnesota Cities pointed out in his testimony on page 50. And so in front of us for this almost conference committee group, because we were not the working group, there's the A9 amendment that I could, maybe I'll have Mr. Lee, or excuse me, Mr. Burris describe it a little bit. But when the amendment or the language that's in here, the new language on page 50 in line 27, it omitted a lot of the intent of the agreement put together in a whole to make us as a working group take a closer look at what we were doing with the bus rapid transit, and this was part of it to include a much more significant offset and recognize the investments that the state makes in other natural systems, and in addition to the land acquisition, that we do a lot of prairie restoration, we do a lot of tree planting, all the things that are included in that greenhouse gas thing. And that was the intent of the negotiations that were in there, and unfortunately the amendment was not drafted to fully recognize the discussion that was had with that. And so with the A9 amendment, Mr. Burris, maybe if you could add your wordsmithing and clarification a little bit on that, that would be helpful.
Mr. Burris.
Mr. Chair and members of the working group, the MB-A09 amendment that's been distributed would, as Representative Koznick noted, modify one of the offset provisions in the greenhouse gas mitigation and assessment provision. The change is found on page 50, line 27. Currently, in current law, natural systems are identified as one of the general areas of offsets, and there's an illustrative list of types of projects around natural systems. In the bill draft language, that list is expanded to provide some additional examples. The amendment would broaden the types of projects and dollars that could be used toward, or activities that could be used towards generating or identifying or scoring offsets. And it adds in protection, conservation, preservation, restoration, and enhancement. These are all phrases that are pulled from the constitutional language that's around outdoor heritage, the legacy amendment, as well as the Environment and Natural Resources Fund. So the general impact of the amendment would be to broaden the types of projects that could be undertaken as an offset to a trunk highway project that's subject to the greenhouse gas mitigation requirements.
Thank you. Representative Koznick.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And so that the amendment, and I apologize if the public doesn't have a copy of this, but it inserts protections, conservation, preservation, restoration, and enhancements. And if those are good enough to be in an offset, why we can't, it's an overlook of the program that we should have already have this language probably in there. And I would say to the working group and the chairs that was part of the negotiations of why this kind of came together with the concerns that our county folks have that would maybe give a better picture of how this came to be. And it is unfortunate, and we work quickly, so I'm not throwing anybody, I don't want to say under the bus, but I can't think of a better, analogy. But
kind of the way transportation conversations go.
So, mistakes happen, and it wasn't intentional. There wasn't an intent to be misleading when this was introduced, but it is nonetheless before us as an issue to resolve in a professional manner. And I will continue to have conversations, but I'd love to hear from the other chairs and committee members why this cannot be incorporated.
Thank you. Representative Cagle.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And it wasn't a drafting error. This is language that was presented to us, and we didn't understand how keeping land the way it is, or making sure that it stays the way it is, isn't offset, isn't creating new offsets. And so that was one of the things that we did see this language, and there just wasn't very much comfort for our folks that by not doing something that was a offset, I guess, is the best way to say it in my mind. And so, we did get this presented to us during the shuttle diplomacy, and it was something that we, our folks, our House DFL caucus did not like the language.
All right. Anything further? Representative Koznick.
I would just add, just for rounding off the conversation, the land acquisition part on 50.3 is already in there, and it's going to be in the bill. I'm not asking to have that removed. What the amendment did before us, at the table at least, talks about item number 9 in the natural systems and clarifies investments that we are currently making. And so it's just unfortunate that it happened. It was a drafting error. It wasn't, it happened. And so that sucks more than cuts, Representative Tabke. If maybe if there's any other comments of that, otherwise I'll move to the other point of discussion.
Representative Cagle.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to reiterate that it was not a drafting error. We did see this language, and we asked staff not to put it in the language.
All right. Anything further? All right. Representative Koznick.
We will proceed, but thank you, Mr. Chair. Representative Cagle, I appreciate your comments. But the A8 amendment then, it just speaks to the overall BRT build-out. Because of the understanding of the negotiations, and now apparently not accepting the intent of the negotiations with the other part of the greenhouse gas mitigations. This was part of it, but for us, new information came forward as this was quickly presented. We, all apologize and take responsibility to our county partners. And then also, from the Republican side, we didn't have the numbers in front of us until June 2nd when Mr. Lee provided us a further spreadsheet of the impact on the counties and the shortfall that it causes. The decision was made before that without that information, and so that's different understanding, and we have time to correct this. And it's not just people around the table here that have concerns or people that have voiced concerns, but other members of the legislature that are being asked to implement this into law. And so the process was, it would have been easy to just take a pause, bring in our partners and ask for input, provide actual public testimony before it's finalized. Today's testimony in action or more of an exercise than action isn't the final step. So I appreciate the testimony we've had today. We need to continue to have conversations with other legislators today and tomorrow. But we need to recognize that we're not actually, what we're doing is shifting transit dollars from one pocket to another, and we're not creating necessarily new transit dollars, but as was said by a couple of the county commissioners, I think the Hennepin County Commissioner, talked about transit riders versus pedestrians, and that's the key element that I think is being overlooked, is that our county partners provide some of those last mile micro transit opportunities and investments that we have not recognized with the Met Council. And so our communities are losing important transit links that are just simply not provided by supercharging a BRT build out. And so basically what the amendment does is ask to remove that part of the bill. And again, it does not impact our general fund target and charge as legislators in a budget year. Representative Tabke, I want to not call you out, but thank you for the discussion that we had a couple days. The vision that you have is worth discussing. I just don't think that this is the process to do it outside of a full open committee process without community input and process. And I think we would have made it. There could be an opportunity to work with our county officials and those that we're taking dollars from, $93 million, taking that, and we could probably achieve a little bit more of the bus rapid transit build out in a more collaborative way. And unfortunately, I recognize, I'm not naive, I recognize the process that we're in and trying to make decisions when we put a bill together. But we have time even right now to slow down and do that. And we're going to ask our colleagues to take this language and this provision out. But I would be willing to work with you in the interim and certainly next policy year to see how we can better enhance our bus rapid transit. And so that is what the A8 amendment does to committee members. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. I have Senator Jasinski.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And just to follow up a little bit on the bus rapid transit, again, I was extremely surprised by what happened in the committee, hearing about this. It really, I don't have much skin in the game in my district. Faribault, Otonawasika doesn't have any involvement in the metro area sales tax, but there was no display of, this came from left field. I mean, it was not talked about. There was no committee. There was no bill. There was nothing. So I was really shocked when I heard about it. The frustrating part, and the county commissioners brought it up, I believe, is you're taking local control away. You have elected officials that represent the counties, and now we're shifting the money to a Met Council appointed committee to make fiscal decisions. That's not right. You cannot take local control away from the counties and the cities, in this case it's the counties, and take $93 million away from them and have somebody else determine how that money is spent. It's unacceptable to me. I would be furious if I was in the 7-county area. I've been getting a lot of texts and things like that. Again, my district doesn't have that, but as being on a member of this committee for 9.5 years, I've never seen anything like it. And people are frustrated. and I'm frustrated of how this came about. It came out, as I said, from left field. We hadn't heard anything about it. There was not a bill, nothing that was ever talked about in any of this. And again, I echo Representative Koznick. I mean, we can have this discussion in a policy year and look at. I've been a fan of BRT. I think it's a positive thing. I like it much better than rail, and I've supported. I made many comments about bus rapid transit, but to take the local control away from these counties that are collecting this tax, and I think Dakota, Carver, and Scott County have no BRT projects in their district, and you're taking the money from their district, from their people in their district, and you're going to spend it somewhere else? That's wrong. Someone has to stand up for this. This is not right. And we've talked about balancing the budget, and we're in a structural deficit because they blew $18 billion and increased spending by $10 billion. And I know we're talking about cuts to Met Council, but maybe Ms. Boyd can go through this, but if you take the proposed cuts from Met Council and then add back the amount of money you're shifting from the counties back, I don't think Met Council is taking any cuts. I don't think they have to cut any money from their budgets. And maybe Ms. Boyd can go into that because we've had some proposed cuts, because again, when we're in a structural deficit, we have to cut money. I get that. But I don't know, I want to know the net effect to the Met Council, because if there's proposed cuts in Met Council and now you're shifting the county's money back to them, what's the net gain or the net loss to Met Council? Ms. Boyd, if you could answer that. I know it's kind of a big question, but if we have a ballpark idea of what that is. I'm sorry.
She'll need just a moment.
Okay, let me come back to it again.
Ms. Cagle has a ballpark level. We'll see how close she is after.
My guess is we cut 61 and then 23 in the 2 years, and from transit, so that's 80, and then the biennium is 90. So I think it's almost a wash, or a little bit over.
Ms. Boyd.
Mr. Chair, thank you. If you're just looking at the cuts to the general fund appropriation Metropolitan Council, the first two biennia, and then the shift of the metro sales tax, the 8.5% from the counties to the Met Council, I believe that's what you're talking about, Senator Jasinski. The offset would be a net gain to Metropolitan Council of about $31.7 million in the first biennium and $74.9 million in the second biennium.
So Met Council, excuse me, Mr. Chair, so Met Council is not seeing any cuts. So they're saying an increase in the amount of money they're getting versus a cut when we're in a structural deficit. That's my point. So Met Council is not trimming any of their budget to face the $6 billion deficit we're seeking. They're actually getting more money. That's why they're loaning out money to MnDOT. They got so much money, and now you're giving them more money, and it's taken away from the counties, Carver County, Scott County, Dakota County. They're losing money. I just don't understand it. Maybe something's different than I do, but it doesn't make sense to me.
Thank you. Representative Cagle.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So we did the hard stuff. In 2023, we took the votes. We raised the revenue. And this is state taxes that it's a state tax that we imposed. And all this session, all we heard from counties was how hard and how expensive it was going to be to do greenhouse gas mitigation. So we came up with a solution for the counties to get the greenhouse gas mitigation offsets in place. And I was looking during the Dakota County got a 52% increase in transportation funding. I was looking at the financial documents from the Dakota County board, and it says that there was a 52% increase over the previous year. Does anybody from Dakota County? Am I wrong? And so we were the ones that took the votes and did the hard work, and we want to see the BRT system built out. When it comes to the trickle down that gets to the counties for actual transit and BRT build out, it's not enough to do any kind of substantial investment for our regional transit network. And so by taking the money and taking the 8.5% that we will now let the counties spend however they want on transportation systems, and then we are taking it and putting it into a capital account. And I'm wondering too, you know, that is something that we will be able to bond against. And so instead of like this $1 or $2 million dripping down to each of the counties every year to do, you know, maybe a few transit projects, we're going to be able to take that money, put it into one big pot and bond against it so we can actually build our system out and not have it be done when my kid is graduating college. And so this is what, you know, I think that we tried to come up with a creative solution to help build out our BRT system to get all Minnesotans around connected to their communities, people who can and can't drive. We also have increased the funding from 2023 to HUTD, to CASA. All of these funds benefit the counties. And we are in a cut time. And so when the counties are getting, you know, a 52% increase, and then we're asking to get, you know, 8.5% of the regional sales tax to actually build what we told our constituents we would build, I don't think is a giant ask. And so I am very proud of the work we did here. We were able to fight off the gutting of our greenhouse gas emissions legislation from 2023. We still have very healthy accounts in our transportation system because of the work that Senator Dibble and Representative Hornstein did in 2023. And so in cut times, it sucks for people. We all have to suffer a little. And so by doing this, we're making sure that we are balancing roads and transit. We are thinking about our most vulnerable people who can't drive or that can't get around by car. And so I think that this is super important. I think it's very wise investment of our money, and I'm sorry the counties, you know, are upset, but this will benefit all of the metro area.
Representative Tapke.
Thank you very much, Chair Dibble. So I just wanted to respond to Senator Jasinski. Sorry about that. But real quick, with the understanding that these are two very different uses of money. And so one is the capital maintenance costs, so operating the buses and transit all across the entire metro. And so that is the money that is getting cut. So there is a 80, I forget what the number was. So 83 plus million in the biennium is getting cut from transit operations and capital maintenance. So that's where that piece is. And then the money that we are moving is the money that will be for build out. And so those are two very different uses of money and two very different things. The build out will go through Met Council, and counties and cities will have input. The legislature will have input as to how that all gets used. And so those investments will be made back in every single county across the metro. And so there are a couple different points as well, is that one, folks, like, there's not a line that shows up in Scott County right now. And that is because because of federal regulations, you are unable to have anything but a fiscally constrained plan put together. And so this fiscally constrained plan, there is not the money right now to build something into Scott County, Carver County, Anoka County, like those areas. And so that is those are federal restraints that are put upon Met Council because they have to be fiscally constrained. And so with this, they will be able to broaden that map and make sure to do things like have a bus rapid transit that does not simply hub and spoke from Minneapolis or St. Paul to the suburbs, that they go east-west. And so I heard from many Dakota County commissioners that we need east-west connections along Highway 13 and along Highway 42 that just are not in the plans today, but as we have non-fiscally constrained plans for what we are putting into this investment, they'll be able to have those kinds of things benefiting the entire region. And so there are a couple different pieces of nuance that are in there, and I get the political points you're making, and I get the way you're going at it. But in reality, there are many different aspects that go into that, and it is not just simply more money from Met Council. This is very much, there are massive cuts on the operating side of things. There are increases on the investment side of things, so we're able to build this out across the region. So I just wanted to be very clear as to what all of those things mean. So thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
Just again, if
Senator Jasinski.
I think we've all been on this committee long enough to know that we have a $1 billion deficit for roads and bridges every single year. We're $1 billion short of maintaining our roads and bridges. And now you have Dakota County, Carver County, Scott County, Anoka County giving up the money that they could be using for their infrastructure to do roads and bridges and the requirements, and they're not going to get anything for many years. So they're collecting the taxes now, and they're not going to see that benefit for many, many years because of what you said. So again, I just think, and you're also shifting it from local control, elected officials, to a Met Council that's appointed by the governor, and let the Met Council make the decisions what's getting done. That's not fair to our elected officials. It's not fair to our residents.
I'll just note for the record that the metro counties will continue to increase their revenue from the results of the 2023 bill. So this is a cut to that part of their money, but overall there will be continuing pretty substantial and impressive growth in the revenues that the metro counties are receiving through the variety of streams of funding and resources that come from the 2023 bill.
Yeah, I understand that, but again, you're cutting it in half. You're taking 8.5%, so you're taking half away.
From one of many, many sources, from one of many sources that are flowing to metropolitan counties for their roads and bridges and other purposes. Representative Koznick.
Well, thank you, and maybe I'll just wrap up, I suppose, on this. But so I appreciate the discussion, and the point is we could have this discussion in a policy year because it's not needed to balance the budget now. Representative Jasinski, I'm doing the opposite. Senator Jasinski, thank you for your comments, and I think it is important. We're taking money from our locals, and they did a great job of outlining the concerns. I think the people at the committee table understand that, so thank you for being here and the time. I appreciated the analysis of, how much of the actual, not cut, but a gain that the Met Council is getting, and I think our constituents would be aghast if they heard that number. $74.9 million is incredible, on top of the nearly over $900 million that they receive now from this same sales tax, in addition to all the other levies that the Met Council gets. Senator Jasinski said it right. They're so flush with money that they're giving a $250 million loan to MnDOT. And so this isn't something that we need to balance the general fund budget. It was bad process. We should have had our input. It's something that we're having a policy discussion on that should be done in a policy year and at least in an open committee process. And so I think that point has been made. And the Met Council, the 83% that they get out of this sales tax dollars, they don't have enough capacity to use it. They're so swimming in money and needing to loan that, figure out where to park it so that they're not so embarrassed. They've figured out a way to loan it to the MnDOT. And so just because we build some kind of transit system, whether it's a bike path or a highway or a bus route, doesn't mean people are going to use it. And I'm concerned that this shift of dollars, $93 million a biennium, and expand, 3 to 5 bus BRT a year, doesn't mean that people are going to use it in a fiscally to pass in a fiscal under a fiscal analysis, that's something we can do just because we're shifting the money here. We want to make sure that we move people where they want to go and in the mode that they want to go. And just because now we're taking a bunch of money and building it out, adding bonding capacity to supercharge it, we're going to have all this infrastructure in BRT, and I bet you in 10 years, 5 years from now, we're going to sit there and say, why is ridership level so low? Well, one thing we learned in COVID is that people's traffic patterns and commuting patterns are a lot different, and I think we're making a mistake, folks. So thank you, Chair Dibble, for the discussion and allowing the discussion today. Thank you to the committee members for their input. Representative Tabke, I still appreciate what you're intending to do. I think this is the wrong way and manner to do it. And I hope that our colleagues that are listening, especially if you're in the Collier County and you're having 11.5 million, 6 million, 14 million, 31 million, 16.5 million, 6 million, or 7 million taken away from your county. In total, 93 million is being stolen from those Collier counties, and the investments are not necessarily going to be made in those counties. I hope you'll call your legislator and say, please get this removed from the transportation bill. And while I have problems with other parts of the transportation bill, I'm not sure it's going to pass with this provision in it, but taking this out will probably ensure that it does pass. So again, thank you, Chair Dibble and members.
Senator Jasinski.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Well, actually, Representative Koznick just stated my point. I'm concerned this affects the ability for this bill to pass. I mean, there's some good things in this bill. Don't get me wrong, folks. There's some good things. There's a lot of my provisions, and I want to thank Senator Dibble for hearing those things. And there's a couple things that I obviously have some concerns about, and I'll bring them up depending on time here. But I think this one kills the bill, to be honest. I mean, I've talked to some legislators in the Metro that are on the DFL or Democrat or whatever you want to call it, other side of the aisle. They're going to have a tough time voting for this because of this one provision that we could put off until next year in a policy year and look at how we can make it better. But I really believe this is going to affect the passability of this bill on the floor during special session. I don't think it will, and that's concerning because there are some good things in the bill that I want to see passed, but this is one of those issues that's going to put this bill at jeopardy.
Thank you. All right, anything further? All right. The last word, Senator Jasinski. All right. I'm sure we will continue to have conversations throughout the weekend, and we'll see everyone in special session on Monday. Thank you very much. We are adjourned.